It's time for the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX. On your radio at AM 940 and online at mywithersradio.com. Recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the premier radio feature programs in the state. You're about to roam the region with more guests and content courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. Live from the Powerhouse, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
And good morning from the Powerhouse on Broadway. Glad to have you with us today. It's a special 3-hour Saturday sports show. That's right. We're on the air until 11 o'clock this morning. First half of the program First half of the program will be your usual regional content. Of course, we'll talk with Lady Rams head coach Jeff Lonnon about his team's run to a South 7 Conference championship. We'll also talk to Wayne Harre. The Hornettes of Nashville are headed to the Super Sectional yet again. They will play T-Town on Monday night in the 2A Super at Salem. We'll talk with Rams wrestling coach Sean Docherty, of course, in this 8 o'clock hour. We'll talk about Alex and Chase Vosberg, who are up at state in the individual wrestling state finals in Class 2A. We'll talk about their successes over the past couple of days. Hall of Fame show will kick in around 9:15 with Scott Gamber, head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams. We'll talk about last night's victory over Marion. We'll also talk about Scott going into the Hall of Fame a second time, this time as a member of the 96-97 Rams basketball team. We'll talk with Tommy Williams. Many of you may know him better with his recent successes on the golf course as well as his entrepreneurial success, but at one time he was a great basketball player at Mount Vernon Township High School and at the college level as well. We'll talk with Rams superfan Ron Marlow. Only missed one game that we know of. Well, that anybody knows of, he'll tell you. I mean, it's incredible how many Rams basketball games Ron Marlow has seen. We get to talk to him about that. Probably one of the ones I'm more excited about, just to kind of pick his brain on the air and get to know more about some of these great games that he has seen over the years. Roger Yates will stop by at the 1961 Rams football team. We'll talk with Doug Creel again about the 96-97 Rams basketball team. Clint Turner will talk 1910 boys basketball with us. He wasn't there, but he did the research. He is the unofficial expert of the 1910 boys basketball team. Jamar Sanders, of course, many of you remember him up until Kent Williams, the all-time leading scorer in Mount Vernon Township High School boys basketball history. It'll be great to talk to number 35 again. And we'll also talk to Will Lash, just a beast on the track and field circuit, basically now a Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Famer. That'll be your 10 and 11 o'clock hours here on the Saturday Sports Show, and we wish we could have caught up with Linda Sanders. Of course, she is going into the Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Fame. Unable to be here this weekend. John Riley, of course, unable to be here this weekend as well, and Bobby Payne also going in. We will talk about everybody, though, going into the Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Fame. We'll have plenty of high school basketball talk. We will preview the Super Sectionals on Monday night in girls basketball. We'll talk about some of the girls sectionals that concern you. We'll talk the 1A and 2A boys basketball regionals. That'll be getting underway on Monday night. We'll also preview some of our coverage here on the Saturday Sports. So it's all up ahead. We hope you'll stay tuned. Should be an exhilarating 3 hours of sports content coming your way here on the Saturday Sports Show. That's right. Again, we are on the air until 11 o'clock today as we talk regional coverage to start. Then about 9:20, 9:15, 9:30, somewhere in that realm of time, we'll switch over and switch gears to the Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Fame. Class of 2013 inducted tonight. That'll be 6:30 at Shagdown Gymnasium. Hope you have your dinner tickets. It was an affordable price and should be great entertainment tonight. Of course, Frank Shornack also going into the Hall of Fame. Cannot forget him and a rousing standing ovation that he received last night at Shagdown. Of course, his son Mike. Obviously, you can add a great father to the list of great things that Frank Shornack has accomplished because his son Mike, one of the great ADs, one of the great guys out there in high school athletics. Mike, of course, now the AD at Marion. All of that to come and more on the Saturday Sports Show. We'll get to your scores here in just a second for the WMIXSports.com scoreboard. We'll get to that here in just a moment. Of course, Saturday Sports Show is presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
You bet it is. We have all of that, including the scoreboard from WMIXSports.com. Mount Vernon Rams last night did beat the Marion Wildcats. That'll be on there. 56-51 was your final. And, of course, let's see. Phone's not working. Trying to get to the scores from last night. And unfortunately, my phone won't work. Are you going to bail me out?
Well, I mean,
beautiful.
Just waiting on you.
Well, I promoted it 3 times.
I heard it. I was just sitting here waiting until you got done.
Well, let's
do the scores. I was perusing
scores.
magazines.
We have a lot of great content in here this morning. I'm happy. I'm jacked.
South 7 last night. Mount Vernon beat Marion 56-51. Centralia over Carbondale 52-36. And Koke beat Altoff 81-71. Midland Trail last night. Woodlawn wins again, 80-40 over Clay City. Wrap up a fifth straight conference title. Waltonville over Wayne City, 54-29. Sisney over Weber Township, 55-26. And Odin beat Grayville, 69-56. In the Black Diamond, Trico beat Alvarado, 76-33. Chester beats Cesar-Valere and sets up the matchup for the Black Diamond West tonight with Goreville at home. Johnston City over Hamco, 53-48. Carmi beat Fairfield 55-54. Harrisburg seniors win their final home game 86-50 over Benton. Frankfort beat Murphy in overtime 48-47 as the Redbirds and that program continue to get better. In the Mississippi division last night, Carterville beat AJ 60-45. Pinckneyville with a nice road win 66-46 at Sparta. And DuQuoin upsets Nashville at home 46-35. In the Mississippi Valley, Jerseyville beat Highland 52-35. Waterloo over Mascoutah 41-24. And Bethalto beat Triad 52-38. In the Apollo, Effingham, who Mount Vernon plays on Tuesday at Effingham, beat Salem last night 69-29. And Mount Zion beat Charleston 88-83 in overtime. One last conference we'll stop in is the Southwestern Conference. Beast beat Alton 69-62. It was Collinsville over Granite City, 59-36. Belleville West beat O'Fallon, 72-56. And Edwardsville beat East St. Louis, 71-60. We'll have more scores later from about 3 or 4 other 5, 6, 7 conferences. But if you'd like to go and read them all yourself now, go to WMIXsports.com, click on the Scores tab, and you will be right there to find out what's going on in the world of high school sports and basketball scores from last night.
There you go, WMIXsports.com. Check it out early, check it out often. We have scores from around the area anytime that there is our local games going on. We hope that you can enjoy that. Of course, we need to take a break. When we come back, we will have Jeff Lonnon, head coach of the Lady Rams, here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Tax time means savings time. Use that tax refund at Second Chance Auto to purchase the best quality used vehicle around. In fact, in their 32-year history, the selection has never been better at Second Chance Auto. Clean, dependable, and great-looking cars, trucks, minivans, and a huge selection of small, mid-size, and full-size SUVs. Most priced under $10,000 with 3-month or 3,000-mile warranty. Yes, your tax refund is your ticket to the vehicle you've always wanted. At Second Chance Auto, Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. Call 244-4582.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Glad to have you with us this morning, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
There you go. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski and Jeff Crow in studio for you. We're here till 11 o'clock. Hope you enjoy the program today. Of course, we hope you enjoy this interview with Lady Rams head basketball coach Jeff Lonnon. His team, South 7 Conference champions, 20-game winners on the year. Coach Lonnon, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
You know what? Pretty good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm just kind of getting ready to face the day today, and been doing a lot of reflecting this week on our season, and wish we had done a little better in our regional, but you know, it kind of was what it was, and we had a good year.
Well, it was a great year, 20-7 to finish the season, and I know you wanted that regional championship, and I know you wanted to keep progressing, but 20 wins and a South 7 Conference title. No slouch, and just a great year put together by the Lady Rams. It could have been a year that, you know, sure, you had just the one loss by the time on December the 5th that Haley Lockhart, you lose her for the season, but this season could have gone into the toilet in a hurry, but your girls band together, and you're able to play 5, 6 in your lineup, and they play as a team, and lead you to a South 7 Conference championship, and could have just given up, but all in all, a great season under the circumstances.
Yeah, and in many ways, it was one of the most, you know, rewarding and kind of fun years that I've had coaching. I mean, just for the reasons that you said, we had to have some people get better, and we had to have some people play better, and we had to have some people mature for all that to happen. For sure, after we lost her, because she's a good basketball. She is really good, and she just was born with the natural ability to play basketball, and she's instant offense, and she's smart. She sees things on the floor, and there's a lot of things that she brought to the table that you just don't coach or you just don't teach, and the other thing is she really loves the game, and basketball is her number one thing, and that part of it made it sad whenever that happened, and I believe me, it was a painful thing for her to do, was sit there and watch her teammates play the rest of the year, and at the same time, I think the more they won, the more she really got a better perspective of what team is and what a group of kids can do if they just play together and they eliminate drama and they just all the little things that it takes on and off the floor to have what happened be the outcome, and I feel really bad that she wasn't able to be a bigger part of it, because she sure wanted to be. And then on the other side of it, talking about the rest of them, they basically had one choice, and they had to make it, and the choice was, we got to come together and we got to play as a really, really, really cohesive group, and we got to play great defense, and we got to play adequate offense. And if we don't, we're going to be in trouble. And they did. They really did. They did a great job. They weren't always perfect. The difference between us winning and losing on many nights was very, very thin, razor thin, as was the case in this regional. It made for an exciting season, but at the same time, I think, they took care. There were many games we played that I'm convinced we were probably maybe out-athleted a little bit, and there were some nights where we weren't. But I don't think we lost a single game that, we didn't. I don't think we lost a single game this year that maybe we shouldn't. I don't think we got upset by anybody. I don't think there was anybody who said, "Oh my gosh, that's a bad loss." I don't think we took any of those, even in the regional. So everybody we lost to was a very, very good basketball team, capable basketball team. So to go on, but you know how that goes, Hugo.
The winning this year, I know year to year winning doesn't carry over. People change, players go out of the program and whatnot. But for the program, this adds a little spice, a little substance to the program now. What does that do for those underclassmen and those girls maybe in junior high taking note of this team, this program, as far as where it goes from here after such a successful year?
Well, it's never a bad thing to win 20 and win your conference from that standpoint. You hope that, the younger ones kind of sense that and will come back and play with a little bit more sense of urgency and pride. It's really strange, Manny, because, this will sound funny, but, at our school, you don't even know who's going to play next year. And that sounds funny because, we've got kids in our program. You look out there last night, we had 22 girls, sophomores, basically through seniors, with a couple freshmen mixed in there that dressed. But, it's the attrition at our high school in any sport is large, and it's just the point where you don't even know if you're going to retain, a lot of your kids from year to year. So we certainly do hope that, the ones who love it and the ones who want to be a part of it and the ones who, are going to stick with you took notice and will play even harder next year to try to repeat this. because this is the thing that you want to do, is repeat and, you know, have these types of situations every year where you're up at the top. So, yeah, in a lot of ways, it obviously is the way you build tradition. That's what Nashville has done. That's what T-Town does. You know, that's what all the heavy hitters in girls basketball do it every year, and it's because it becomes great tradition at some point, and it never lets up. So, you know, so two things. You know, yes, you're right. It does make a big difference, and number two, only if, you know, you can retain your players and they come back and they want to play again. And then that's the phase we're in. We will get into now in the spring and in the summer, is, you know, identifying those kids who are going to be that next group, you know, and you kind of have to rebuild it over. It's just like a rebuilding thing every year. So it'll be interesting to see now if we could maintain this.
Yeah, and, you know, obviously maintaining is a big key, but, you know, getting kind of away from the team aspect and taking a look at Jeff Lonnon and knowing you're connected with so many coaches across Southern Illinois, great friends. A good friend, Wayne Harre, of course, and his Nashville Hornettes win the sectional title against Redbud the other night, and I know you have to be happy for Wayne, of course, as his team looks to try to make another trip to state in 2A, and, you know, it is – I know that obviously you wanted your team to be able to make that same accomplishment, but I also know that you're happy for a good friend who is getting ready to appear right after you on this Saturday sports show this morning.
Well, he's, you know, I'm going to brag on him a little bit. And, you know, Wayne and I, you know, we see each other a couple times a year coaching, and here's the thing about him is that, and I've always appreciated this, and I'm going to be serious because we joke around a lot, but, you know, he does a good job, and he does it the right way. You know, there are nights, you know, he's had some really, really good teams, and it's not just this year. I mean, he's done it year after year after year for years. I mean, this goes, you know, they were exactly like this when I was at Benton. You know what I mean? They were exactly like this when I was at Edwards County. You know, thank God we didn't have to play them then. You know, I mean, it's like this every year. And the thing about them that I've always been, you know, I've always admired as a coach is there are nights where he could bury a lot of people. There are nights he plays teams that have no ability to even score a basket, you know, with their defense, much less, you know, compete. And he always, I mean, you'll never see him just bury somebody, even though he could, his girls could. You know, he scores enough points to win. He subs, takes them out. They shake your hand. I've never had a Nashville girl or a coach ever in my that I can remember say something inappropriate or bad or act, you know, poorly after a game or during a game. So that whole thing over there is something that if you're a young coach and you're just getting into it, no matter whether you're a boys coach or a girls coach, that would be a good one to just model yourself after. And because of that, you know, you have to, you know, root for them and hope for the best. And you know, they're capable. But hey, I know what he's thinking. He's going to have to at some point cross that outfit up north with who is it, Dan? Quincy, Notre Dame?
It won't have to this year because they're up a class. They're a 3A.
Okay. I just hadn't looked at the.
Yeah, you would have had to have dealt with them. Yuck.
Yeah. So you know that's good for him. But and he got by Bree Central, and I know Bree Central was always a pain in the butt for him.
Mm-hmm.
To get past. I know they usually have their number as far as you know. He was telling me that earlier this year that they really are hard for him to coach against, and they got past them. So, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I hope he wins the whole thing because, you know, Wayne will be Wayne whether he wins the whole thing or gets beat, you know, in the next game. He is who he is. He's honest. He's sincere. And his kids play well, and they're class act, and we all will root for them.
The thing that people don't remember or don't even think about is they played no summer games last year. There are teams that play 50, 60 summer games, play every weekend, 8 weekends in a row in the summer. and they did nothing last year. I mean, they had some workouts, probably came to the gym when they wanted to, but that's the amazing part of this. It just proves, summer's important, but sometimes when you overkill it, you can run some people down the ground when you do it all that time.
Well, there's no question. I mean, the summer, look, we'll do the summer stuff. I mean, we, because you have to. I mean, if you're not doing it, and if you're not doing it, somebody else is, and then you feel really guilty, because they're getting ahead of us, and if you don't do well this season, everybody says, well, he doesn't do enough in summer, and it's his fault, and there's just a whole bunch of there's a giant can of worms that becomes open whenever you don't keep up with the Joneses in the summertime. But yet, at the same time, when he's in a little different spot now. He really can't, because he shares, those kids. Those kids he has are multi-sport athletes. They're softball players. They're basketball players. They go on vacations, obviously, with their family. I mean, you have to have a break sometime. And he shares the main core of that particular group he has now with a lot of other people and sports. And as a result, they don't play much in the summertime. Now, he does take his younger ones. I mean, they don't just shut it down. But his main varsity group, he gets very little time, if any, with in the summer. But, it just goes to show, how important is it? I don't know. I mean, when you look at a case like that, but they're so special and they're so unique that, it's kind of a confusing question. How important is summer if Nashville doesn't play, hardly at all, but yet does what they do? To me, there's probably a little bit of both. Probably summer's not near as highly rated. It's probably a little overrated. And two, Wayne Harre's probably just a very, very good basketball coach with good kids, and they can overcome that. It's probably a combination of both.
Well, and Lonnon, as we take a look now, we look toward the future. Lady Rams' schedule, does it remain pretty consistent heading into next year, or might we see some changes?
Say that again, Hugo.
Lady Rams' basketball schedule for next year, does it remain constant, or do we see possibly some changes to the schedule?
Well, I think it remains about the same. I haven't really sat down and talked about it much. And we'll go back to Nashville to start the tournament, and then I think at that point we'll just kind of play the same schedule we're on right now, unless there's anybody that drops us between now and then. That's always a possibility. That's happened to us the last couple of years. But no, I think we'll stay right around the same schedule and play the same people. And the thing now is we got to go back and piece together another team to do this again, and we just hope that we can retain all our main players, the main cogs in the system, and a couple of ones will come that improved this year will come along and be factors next year. And because the thing you don't want to do is just be a one and done. You want to try to do this now, each and every year. But that's very hard. I won't sugarcoat that a bit. I mean, it will be very hard for us any year to do what we did this year. So the challenge will be big, but we will start, up this spring with some open gyms and hit the summer, and whatever happens, we'll all do the best we can.
There you go. Lonnon, of course, our final question is the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. Which Hall of Fame, it is Hall of Fame weekend here in Mount Vernon, which Hall of Fame would you most like to attend, or maybe you've already been to some? Which is your favorite?
Oh, gosh. I should have known. I should have listened to you earlier, so I would have known this was coming. You go, no, wait, I'm the first guest.
Yeah, you're lead off today. You were kind of shocked.
I would have never known this. The Hall of Fame that I would most like to attend. Probably baseball. And where's that, Cooperstown?
Yeah, pack up the RV and head to Cooperstown, New York.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that'd be a nice trip.
Maybe go see Greg Maddox next year.
Yes, absolutely. Here's the cool thing about going there. And I love baseball. I grew up playing baseball and watching baseball. But I think when you go there, you get to see a lot of the old, they all go back, I guess is what I'm saying, to that ceremony. And they probably do it in football, too, and a lot of them. But I always think it's cool to watch those guys on TV, making their speeches, and you look out in the crowd. Everybody's a Hall of Famer, It's just an amazing environment there for those few hours that they have that, when they make the speeches and all that. I don't know what kind of seat you could get in a place like that, as just just an average guy like us. I don't know if we could get in the door or not, but it would be good. I think I would pick Baseball Hall of Fame.
That's a solid answer. Cooperstown, of course, I have a feeling that's going to be a very popular answer today. But
I will say this, and this is the other thing, the Mount Vernon Hall of Fame thing is really neat. I mean, they do it right. And, that football team that I got involved with there that got in the last time around, I got to experience that, firsthand, and just kind of sitting back and watching it, and I got a newfound appreciation for it, for sure. They do such a good job, and it's really a neat weekend. And just last night, I was just kind of standing there watching the game, and all the people and the new inductees and all the people that are involved in honoring those people. I mean, Mount Vernon does a really, really nice job with that.
Yes, they do, and I mean, the work that's put into it is a year-round duty, and the committee does a fine job with their selection. The steering committee does a great job in finding nominations. But, Coach Lonnon, I know that someday you'll be in that Hall of Fame, and I wish you the best of luck along the way. And it seems like it may be a while before we talk to you again here on the Saturday Sports Show, but it's been a great season, and we salute you and the Lady Rams for what they're able to accomplish in 2012 and 2013.
Well, we will meet up again, and we'll talk about next year's team probably in about 8 or 9 months, Hugo. So I appreciate everything, and you guys did a tremendous job this year, bringing Lady Ram basketball to the internet and to the people across the state and the country, and we do appreciate that. And we'll convene next year.
There you have it, Jeff Lonnon. Thank you very much. That's Jeff Lonnon, Lady Rams head basketball coach. We will take a break. We'll talk to Wayne Harre when we come back. Of course, he is the famed head coach of the Nashville Hornettes. That's still to come on a Saturday Sports Show. Special 3-hour edition today. That's right. We're on the air until 11 o'clock. We'll have your Hall of Fame preview coming up at about 9:20, 9:30. We talk to various inductees and especially some representatives of some of the teams going in to the Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Fame tonight. Wayne Harre, Sean Docherty still to come, though, in our regional coverage. All coming up on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Hi, this is Melody True, Relationship Specialist with People's National Bank in Mount Vernon. People's National Bank is a true community bank that specializes in offering a wide variety of products to suit a wide variety of people. We offer free checking, interest checking, certificates of deposits, home loans, business loans, online banking, mobile banking, and much more. Stop by any of our People's National Bank locations or visit us online at www.peoplesnationalbank.com for more information. People's National Bank, serving Southern Illinois since 1909, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Ford Square and King City Chrysler are celebrating President's Day with great offers for your trade on Friday, Saturday, and Monday. Both dealerships are in desperate need of local, quality trades to restock their inventory and are prepared to offer you a trade-in value up to $3,500 above the regional market value stated by Black Book. Take advantage of huge incentives this President's Day weekend on new inventory with as low as 0% financing. They will also have rebates, discounts, and savings totaling up to $10,000. Now is definitely the best time to buy. Be sure to go by and see any of their sales associates this Friday, Saturday, and Monday at Ford Square, 1501 Broadway, and King City Chrysler Center at 1603 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
There you go. Glad to have you with us. Special morning. Of course, this first hour, as you know, we're rolling through our regional content. And at 9:30, special Hall of Fame edition of the Saturday Sports Show, all the way up until 11 o'clock. Our next guest, ho-hum, just another sectional championship in Nashville. He is Hornettes head coach Wayne Harre. Wayner, good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
You know what? It has to be a great morning. Obviously, we're 2 days removed now from the Hornets winning yet another sectional championship. The important thing is you get the rematch against Bree Central in the semifinal. You take care of business. You get Redbud on Thursday night. You win that one. And now you have T-Town on Monday night. A very special congratulations from us at WMIX Sports. But tell us a little bit about that revenge win against Bree Central.
Well, it felt pretty, it felt pretty good from the tough loss we had against them last year in that sectional final, which it was a well played game by both teams, and last year, and we just unfortunately came up on the losing end, and this year it was a well played game again. I mean, both teams played really well, and we were fortunate to come on top of it, on the good end for us anyway. This year, so I know we felt like coming in that we had to play well, and we did, and I thought the girls responded really well. I thought they were focused and did what we had to do, and you're always concerned. We played them at Mascoutah and beat them earlier in the year, and I thought they were really playing well. I thought they were playing as well as anybody in the area coming into the game, and I thought we did a good job of taking them out of what they kind of want to do.
I saw you playing high school. I saw you playing college, so I've got to ask, who taught Docherty Harre how to shoot? Who gave her that little lesson?
Well, I don't really know who did, because I think we all know sometimes as when we all have kids playing and some things like that, sometimes they don't want to really learn or listen to what their parents say, so I just kind of let her go. I'll be honest with you, I've never really said a whole lot to her, and she's, one thing about her, I will say this about Docherty, is that she just kind of watches. I'm really not, as a parent and as a coach, I just, I coach her like one of the players. I'm pretty hard on her. I know in the Central game I was really, I would say, upset with her a couple times that she didn't get in there and get a rebound, and so she got a little talking to it in a timeout situation. But as a parent, on the court or off the court, I really haven't said a whole lot to her, just because she's been around the game. When she was younger, I was coaching on the boys' side, so she went all watched all the boys' games, and then as she got older, I got on the girls' side. So she's seen a lot, and I just kind of let her play, and when we talk about stuff, she goes, "Yeah, Dad, I see that." So I just kind of play by ear and let her go sometimes.
You let that go, and I look at it, I know it's sectional final. I know everybody's going to be pumped for it and everything ready to go, but was there a sense of worry by you and your staff just a wee bit after beating Bree Central to not take Redbud lightly in that final, but to go out and take care of business?
Oh, there's no question about that. I know Coach Althoff and I were talking on the way to the game. We're like, okay, we're going to make sure that we don't stub our toe here and get beat and the year's over. And we're very concerned about that, just because how physical that Central game was, and some of our players are really beat up. And but it's some other like Docherty stepped up and hit some shots, and Hannah Young hit a couple shots for us, so that really helped us and loosen that zone up. They played zone the whole time, and then they were trying to get a little physical with us, and we kept our cool and things like that. So, you're always concerned about that. You're concerned about every game, but it seems like we've done a real good job of getting out of the gate. And they've really been focused. It seems like every game in the postseason, and we've done a real good job of it. And we'll hope to keep it going Monday night. Keeping
it going Monday night at Salem, it's going to be a tough seat to get, because with Goreville and CHB seeing a rematch, and you and T-Town there on Monday night, the Lady Wooden Shoes knock off undefeated Mount Carmel in a big game Thursday night. Did a great job. Have you seen them, and what do you know about T-Town this year?
Well, we watched them on tape a little bit, and they're a T-Town team. I mean, it's Laurie's team, and she knows how to. It's a system that they use, and they're never going to beat themselves. They're going to play hard-nosed defense. You're never going to get an easy basket. They're fundamentally sound. You know, they're T-Town. They expect to win every game, and you know, it's kind of a mirror program. It kind of, people would say, well, they kind of mirror each. You know, we mirror each other's programs. You know, and you know that's you know, I feel, you know, fortunate that people put us with T-Town. You know, winning all the state titles and things like that. So, yeah, you know, it's just going to be a tough game, grind out affair, and you know, whoever, you know, has the breaks try to win the game.
Well, and speaking of having the breaks to win the game, it's a T-Town team that, on tape and from having seen the results this year, may have struggled at times offensively. They managed to find 50-plus against Tara Bus and the Lady Aces of Mount Carmel. This match, this super sectional, many expect to be Nashville, Mount Carmel, Nashville, and T-Town throughout the year. Now that the Tara Bus season has ended and everybody makes such a big deal about Tara and the Lady Aces, is there a little bit less of a hype to this game, you think, now, a little less media attention that might make it easier to focus?
Well, I probably. I mean, you know, that if you say that, you know, with her, with all the things that she's done, and through the state, and really through the, I guess, probably through the whole country. I guess, you know, she's pretty well made a name for herself. So, yeah, I would say that. But at the same time, you know, we got two teams here that are, you know, I think pretty well fundamentally sound, and try to do the things right. And I think it'll be a. You know, I think people are looking forward to the game. You know, it should be like I said, it'll be a well-played game. They're kids that played in all kinds of games. You know how tough a schedule they play, and you know, that's a credit to them. They'll go play anybody, anytime, so nothing's going to bother them. So that's what really prepares them for postseason. That's why they always make runs in the postseason.
Final question here today is our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And it's Hall of Fame weekend at Mount Vernon High School, so we're kind of going along that line. What Sports Hall of Fame would you like to visit, or have you visited that's your favorite?
I'll say I'd always like to go to. I've never been to Cooperstown. I'd always like to see the baseball one. I think, and never been there, but I hope to get there before I get too old, anyway. But just because I'm a big history buff, and I like watching you know, old movies and about baseball and things like that. And I just think the things that they did years past is really interesting, and what they did and what they couldn't do, but that's where I'd like to see. I like to go and see that and watch some of the videos there. I think that would be really interesting.
Isn't that kind of a mini Cooperstown at the Shed there in Washington County? That's the story how it goes.
Yeah, you know what? That's probably right with all the stuff that Kirk's got there. I will say that it's pretty interesting. I bet you could spend an hour just walking through it and looking at all the things he's got and all the plaques up there. I mean, it's pretty well amazing. It's just it's a sight to see. I will say that. And it's great that he's got it, and it's pretty an awesome thing.
Waynard, thanks for taking the time to join us. I know it's a busy weekend getting ready for T-Town on Monday night, but good luck to the Hornettes Monday, and hopefully we can talk to you from Bloomington next week.
Hey, that'll be great. I always love talking to you guys.
Thank you. That's Wayne Harre, head coach of the Nashville Hornets, and we appreciate Wayne for taking the time to talk to us this morning. Busy guy, obviously busy during the week with all of his duties, and then going into basketball coaching as well, and tremendous talent, great head coach there in Nashville, and you know, the Hornets are going to try to make a run to another sectional, or they've already gotten the sectional championship. They're going to try to get back to Redbird Arena again, and kind of feels like old hat at times there in Nashville, but congratulations once again to the Hornets, and just a successful run, of course, over the past 13 years. We'll take a break on the Saturday Sports. When we come back, plenty more to talk about. Maybe even talk some Mount Vernon Rams wrestling. Yes, there's a duo of brothers at state this weekend. We'll tell you about how they did here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
With plenty of postseason games on the horizon for the Jefferson County Basketball Showcase, WMIX and Community First Bank plan to pave the road to Peoria. Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. WMIX and WMIXSports.com are set to bring you another great slate of postseason high school basketball. Does your team have what it takes to cut down the nets? We'll find out on the Jefferson County Basketball Showcase on WMIX and WMIXSports.com. Powered by Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Elaine. I've been a nurse with Good Samaritan for many, many years. One of the best things about my job is knowing that I work for a hospital that cares so much about the community. We're dedicated to attracting the best physicians and investing in the most advanced medical technologies. Whether it's radiology, oncology, or advanced heart care, we provide some of the nation's most advanced treatment options right here in Southern Illinois. That way patients never have to travel far from their families to receive the care they need. I'm always happy when families come visit. And starting in 2013, that sort of thing will happen even more. That's when Good Samaritan opens our all-new regional health center. Everything about the new center has been designed with patients in mind. It features all private rooms and family-friendly areas that make it easier for visitors to stay overnight. I can't wait to see what Good Samaritan does with this exciting new facility.
Good Samaritan Regional Health Center. Raising a hospital, raising the bar.
Southern Illinois now has a better home for sports. It's the all-new WMIXSports.com. Jam-packed with local scores, video highlights, and archives of every local sports broadcast on WMIX. Did your team win? Missed that game-winning shot last night? Didn't catch your favorite coach on the Saturday Sports Show? WMIXSports.com is right at your fingertips. On your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, or your video game console. It's the all-new WMIXSports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Glad to have you with us this morning, of course. We welcome Rams wrestling coach Sean Docherty, who has a pair of brothers up at State, of course, Chase and Alex Fosberg, who have done fairly well. Coach Doc, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
You are doing pretty well, but you have a duo of brothers up at State, of course, Alex and Chase Fosberg, and looks like from the reports that you've sent us and from what we've been able to see on IHSA.TV, Chase, who was in the semifinals but did lose yesterday, still has a chance at the third-place medal. And then Alex, who I believe lost in either way, got into the wrestleback and was able to win his first wrestleback match, so he's still in the hunt for a medal. What a great weekend.
Oh, yeah, this has been a great weekend for the kids. I mean, they've done great. I've been proud of them, of everything they've accomplished so far. Yeah, Chase lost a really close one yesterday in the semis. He lost 5-3 against Garess from Canelan. He's got to wrestle the winner here in about, roughly at about around noon. He'll get the winner between Sir Romeo Howard from East St. Louis and Dalton Coleman from Mount Zion. He's wrestled both those kids, beat both of them. So I feel like he's got a pretty good chance to beat those guys and get a chance to get work for that third-place medal. And Alex, yeah, he kind of dug himself a hole on the first day. Lost to Friedman from Pontiac, but then his kid won, so he got back in. And yesterday he ended up beating Cody Pedigo from Lincoln Way West, beat him pretty convincingly. Now he's got a kid, Ryan Johnson from Rockford Boylan Catholic. Good kid. He's 32-5 now. It'll be a tough match, but if he wins that one, then he can get a chance to win one more and get in that third-place medal round, which is what we're looking for.
Explain to our fans, because I sort of understand it, but I'd like to hear it from you, the term wrestle back and how that works for a wrestler that loses a match and then has a chance to wrestle back into the picture. What does that mean?
Well, I'll tell you what, wrestling is one of those crazy sports. We do. So sometimes it's a true wrestleback, sometimes it's a follow the leader. The state meet is a follow the leader format. If you lose the first round, your guy has to win his next one, or else you're out of the tournament. It's kind of a weird deal. You're sitting there cheering for the guy that beat you just so you can get back in and try to get a second chance at things. Really, with the wrestleback, all that is if you deal with basketball bracketing, it's the consolation bracket. How you got the winners going to the right and the losers going to the left. It's the exact same thing. But we just call it wrestlebacks because you're wrestling back to get to a medal. Like I said, in most tournaments are double elimination. You just like basketball. You lose twice, you're out of the deal. With the state tournament, if you can get back in, again, it's a double elimination, man. You lose twice, you're out. So very similar to basketball. If you're familiar with that, you could pick up on wrestling pretty quick.
Speaking of that, I know it's every year. It's been a tradition for everybody to get to the Assembly Hall this weekend. The IOC came out this week and said that for the first time ever in 2020, wrestling will not be part of the Summer Olympics. Has there been talk around the Assembly Hall this weekend about that, or what's the buzz, if any at all, about wrestling being removed from the Olympics?
Oh, yeah. You talk to any of the coaches, any of the wrestlers, and they're just in shock that the IOC would do that. I think, and what I've been reading online, they said it's a recommendation. It's not anything in stone yet. I think that they're going to hear it not just from the United States and from Europe, but mainly from Russia and from Eastern Europe and a lot of the Middle Eastern countries where wrestling is, is on the same level as what the NFL is here. I think those countries are just going to throw a fit and petition to get that changed, and I think it'll change. I think they'll put it back in. It's kind of ridiculous to remove a sport that was one of the starting sports in the Greek Olympics back whenever they originally first started. So I don't see that happening.
Of course, you take a look at the brothers this weekend. You had 5 make it to the sectional level, and things went pretty well for Rams wrestling this year. How do you parlay that into future success? I mean, it's something with the Vosbergs doing well this year. You get down into the Lions Club teams, and you could show them that Mount Vernon wrestling is here to stay, and not that it ever really went away. There was kind of a dip there, though, but you guys bring it back to the level which everybody's used to. Does this help as far as, I don't want to say momentum, but maybe as far as motivation for your younger crowd, maybe in the Lions Club level?
Oh, definitely. That's the thing. About 6 years ago, we started the rebuilding process. We were, like you said, we were down, kind of the doormat of the wrestling world. And 6 years ago, we started to make a comeback and start to do things the right way. We started getting kids qualifying for sectionals, and we started getting kids qualifying for state. And whenever you see kids in your wrestling room, whenever you're a freshman, and you see kids in your wrestling room that are qualifying for the biggest stage in wrestling in Illinois, it makes a big difference. It's like one of my freshmen, Josiah Fitzgerald, first-year wrestler and everything, and he didn't know if he was going to try it or not. And we finally talked him into doing it. Ends up starting varsity. Ends up doing real good for us. Ends up winning a couple of dual meets for us with his wins. Gets 4th at regionals, and all that kid's been talking about is wanting to do off-season wrestling. And he's a soccer kid. He's played. I've known the boy since he was little, and that's his favorite sport, soccer. He came up to me the other day. He goes, "I kind of like wrestling more than soccer." And it's like, it's just one of those things. You give it a chance, and you'd be surprised that you probably like it. And then having guys like the Vosbergs in there, and Quentin Favors and Justin Armstrong and just a host of other kids that have been at it for a while. Just that camaraderie, that family atmosphere that we have, that the sport just kind of, normally gravitates to. I think that's been a big help, and to be honest with you, I see nothing but future success for our program.
Hey, when you talk about that as far as the program in wrestling in this day and age, there's so many things to do, so many things for kids to do, both in school and or extracurricular. Is it getting tougher as far as you and the coaching staff at Mount Vernon High School to get more and more kids out to participate in extracurricular activities?
Yeah, it is, and I'll tell you what, it's not just wrestling, it's everything, because I wish I knew the answer, to be honest with you. If I did, I'd be a millionaire, because every school's going through the same thing. So, it's just one of those things.
Hey, last question, we'll let you go. Obviously, what's going on in the background. WMIX Sports social media question of the week. What Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame have you been to that's your favorite? Or what is one Sports Hall of Fame that you would like to get to and visit?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, my phone's kind of cutting out.
What Hall of Fame have you been to sports-wise? Sports Hall of Fame is your favorite, or which Sports Hall of Fame would you like to go to and visit?
Well, I'll tell you what, I have not had a chance to go to a Hall of Fame just because I coach year-round, it seems like. But the one I'd like to go to is in Canton. I'd like to see the NFL Hall of Fame.
That's certainly understandable. Of course, Doc, good luck to both Chase and Alex today. Please keep us updated, and we look forward to recapping what they do real soon.
Okay, thanks for calling.
That is Sean Docherty, head coach of the Rams Wrestlers, and of course we are honoring America right here on the Saturday Sports Show, but thankful that he was able to take the time to join us. It's a busy day. It's a whirlwind up there in Champaign, and Alex and Chase Vosberg, of course. Chase still trying to wrestle for a third-place medal, and then Alex at 160 pounds is through the wrestleback circuit right now, still trying to medal up there in Champaign. A lot to talk about here on the Saturday Sports Show. We're going to take a quick break. It is the top of the hour on WMIX. We'll take a quick break when we come back. We're going to talk some high school basketball here on the Saturday Sports Show. Also get you caught up from some more scores from last night on the WMIXSports.com scoreboard. Saturday Sports Show powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Too expensive to get back into shape? Not anymore. Rend Lake College's new fitness center is only $53 per semester. They've also thought of everything with universal machines, free weights, treadmills with dedicated TV screens, ellipticals, and more. Qualified dance instructors are also available. Or go at your own pace with DVDs that can be used in the exercise room. Best of all, it's open 7 days a week. Check out the Rend Lake College Fitness Center in the Marketplace off Potomac Boulevard in Mount Vernon. Or log on to rendlakecollege.edu/Fit Center.
If you can't pick us up where you live, move. This is WMIX, Mount Vernon, Marion, another Withers Broadcasting Station.
The Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois welcomes Dr. Beth Conradi to their medical staff. Dr. Conradi specializes in comprehensive pain management using a multidisciplinary team approach by working with other specialists for optimal diagnosis and treatment of pain. Dr. Conradi will treat most conditions of the spine, including management of cancer pain. Dr. Beth Conradi, helping to make life better day after day at the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois in Mount Vernon. Call 618-242-3778.
Looking for a rewarding career? Then Withers Broadcasting is looking for you. We have positions available in our traffic departments. If you love entering data, interacting with people, and dabbling in accounting, you'll love being a traffic director. Prior experience with radio traffic systems, billing, or accounts receivable is preferred, but not required. Email your inquiry or resume to Lisa Roddy at mvn.net or via mail to Withers Broadcasting, P.O. Box 1508, Mount Vernon, Illinois, 62864. Withers Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski and Jeff Crow in studio. Powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Plenty of high school basketball talk to come your way. We'll catch up with Rams head coach Scott Gamber a little bit later on in this 9 o'clock hour. But we have some more scores from the WMIXSports.com scoreboard from last night.
National Trail Conference, Altamont beat Stu Strauss 67-53. Beecher City beat St. Elmo 50-43. Dietrich beat Cowden Herrick 87-38. In the Cahokia Conference, Valmeyer over Marissa Coulterville 56-37. Lebanon beat Westland 54-51. Carlisle beat Redbud 69-45. Columbia over Freeburg 58-48. And Steelville beat New Athens 68-57. In the GEC, Hardin County over Crab Orchard 73-63. Carrier Mills over Galatia 75-45. Gallatin County beat Pope County 82-35, and Thompsonville beat NCOE 47-46. South Egypt Conference, Egyptian beat Joppa 93-70. Meridian over Century 96-49. Shawnee beat Dongola 71-55. Little Illini, Robinson over Oblong 72-54. Newton beat Flora 73-63. Olney beat Lawrenceville 53-48. That's the final game in historic gymnasium at Lawrenceville High School. And Hutt Powell beat Edwards County 67-57. South Central Conference, Carlinville over Vandalia 69-63. Payne over Piasaw 55-46. And Roxana beat Hillsboro 79-51. Non-conference games of interest, Marquette beat Bree Central 60-55. Casey Westfield beat St. Anthony 74-61. Cumberland over Windsor 62-55. Marshall over Neoga 54-49. North Clay beat South Central in 3 overtimes, 77-73. Oakville beat Mater Dei 45-39, and T-Town beat Madison 72-47. And one last one, Washington, Indiana beat Mount Carmel 52-48. More scores listed at our website, WMIXsports.com. Go to the Scores tab and click on that. They're all nicely divided by conference and or non-conference sections.
There you go. Those are basketball scores from last night. Of course, don't forget the Rams wrestlers, Alex and Chase Vosberg, up at Stable. Update you throughout the day on social media, on Facebook, and on Twitter at WMIX Sports. Of course, that'll be coming your way today. And some high school basketball talk to come your way before we catch up before we catch up with Scott Gamber about last night's Rams win, 56-51 over Marion. 1A and 2A girls basketball will head to the Super Sectional on Monday night. Of course, at Jacksonville, you will have Oakville and Mount Pulaski, while at Salem, in a doubleheader, you'll actually have that 1A game, Cowden, Herrick, Beecher City, and Goreville again. And you're taking a look at those 1A Super Sectionals, Oakville, a tough team, a tough schedule, Danny, against the Mount Pulaski. But Lady Rams beat Oakville first game of the year, and that Oakville team since then has come a long way. Tough schedule, independent. And you certainly think that there is a great chance for the Lady Rockets to win a Super Sectional.
Mount Pulaski's a co-op, more known maybe so for girls volleyball and maybe for boys basketball in the 70s and early 80s. Mount Pulaski was an absolute powerhouse in the late 70s and early 80s, making trips to Champaign. Oakville would be nice to see out of the 8 teams at Bloomington next week to have 25% of them from Washington County with Oakville and Nashville there. A very interesting game at Mount Pulaski, and it's Salem. Well, actually, when you go back and you look at 1A, and you look at it, Oakville and Goreville are those two winners. Jacksonville and Salem would play in the second game in Bloomington next Friday. Freeport Aquin is back again. That's a team to watch out for. Westminster Christian from Elgin is back in the late rounds. So you have some basketball powerhouses. Oakville, of course, in the 90s made a run with their current head coach playing on the floor. So Goreville's back for a rematch against CHBC at Salem. CHBC's got them a few times, so this is Goreville's chance to shine and get to state. Coming off that softball state title last spring, Goreville trying to get to basketball to the state tournament as well. Very interesting 1A field.
Well, it is, and then, of course, Goreville, Cowden, Herrick, Beecher City, another rematch there. You have Micah Jones still the standout at Cowden, Herrick. You still have the great nucleus of talent that they've built up over the past few years at Goreville, and Goreville's a pretty solid team. You wonder if maybe this is the year that Mike Helton's crew wins that Super and heads on to Redbird Arena. We'll find out Monday night. 2A, at least of local interest, you have the Nashville Hornettes and the T-Town Wooden Shoes. And all the pub was about possibly Nashville and their defense and Tyra Buss and her offense and the Lady Aces. Well, the team wins out, of course, as T-Town, the Wooden Shoes, hold Tyra to 20 on Thursday night at Newton. T-Town, who struggled to score at times this year, able to find like 54, 57 points. And so it'll be Nashville and T-Town, two similarly styled defenses on Monday.
Well, and that's the thing about T-Town and Nashville. T-Town and Nashville have that lineage of getting to the state tournament. And then you look at the rest, Melrose Park and Seton Academy from Chicagoland area, they're going to play each other. That's, of course, you wonder about Seton Academy. We've heard of that name before. Boys team a few years ago winning the state title, so you wonder what kind of players they have brought in at Seton Academy, and I did say brought in. El Paso and Byron. Byron's more of a football power that we know, and then Litchfield getting in with Camp Point Co-op at the Springfield UIS Super. So one name that is missing because they've moved up a class is Quincy Notre Dame, so a lot of people going, thank goodness, Quincy Notre Dame at the Mount Zion sectional on Monday night. So no QND in 2A. It's a very interesting field. Somebody will win 2A this year. And again, Nashville T-Town's an interesting game because I'm not so certain that the favorite doesn't come out of those two.
How good are the girls in Litchfield? I think this is either the first year or second year without Bob Allen as their head coach, of course, as he ends up at Hillsborough to help out. And just incredible things happening there in Montgomery County. But you look at 3A, and we'll take a quick look at the Mount Zion sectional, Quincy Notre Dame, and take a quick glance at Waterloo. And you have Columbia and Mater Dei in that first matchup, followed by Massac County and Civic Memorial, and should be a decent 3A sectional, but you certainly wonder if it's not going to be Civic and Mater Dei.
Columbia and Mater Dei played in the volleyball sectional at Murfreesboro back in November.
Oh, yeah.
Sectional final. And that's another matchup there with, Mater Dei and Columbia. Massac County, the upstart comes in. That'll be a nice short trip to to Waterloo, I'm sure. And they'll play Bethalto. So, to me, when you look at it, it's Mater Dei and probably the rest of them at this point.
Oh, yeah. There's without a doubt in my mind on that. But They have to play the games, and, we assume it'll be Quincy, Notre Dame, and Mater Dei coming out of the 2 South Supers, but there's 2 South sectionals and meeting the Super, but you never know. Good luck to all of the 3A girls basketball teams going on into that sectional. Boys basketball, hard to believe, winding down. We go into the 1A and 2A regionals starting this week. We have 2 regionals in our backyard here at WMIX, with Woodlawn and Waltonville hosting regionals in Class 1A. ZR has another, so do the math there, and you have 3 regionals right within a 20-25-mile radius of the studios here at WMIX, and that is just insanity. But you take a look at some of these 1A regionals feeding in especially to the Carbondale Super, and you look at Edwards County, Diederich, St. Elmo, and Woodlawn all feeding into the Altamont sectional, but you look at Woodlawn and that 1A regional there. The Cardinals, of course, the number 1 seed. They'll play on Wednesday night on WMIX-FM at 5:50 your pregame. But you look at South Central, Odin, that first matchup, Christ Our Rock and Sandoval, and another matchup, and it's a 7-team regional. But until something happens, if something happens this week, that's Woodlawn's regional to lose.
Yeah, it is. Woodlawn's a prohibitive favorite, and obviously not trying to put down the other teams in that regional, but Woodlawn's on 5 in a row, looking for 6, and, again, if it does happen, it happens, but when you look at it, maybe a Christ Our Rock Lutheran can get through and touch, maybe a Patoka. That game with Patoka and Christ Our Rock Lutheran that's looming on Wednesday night at 7:30 be very interesting.
Well, and it will be, and perhaps the more interesting regional out of those is on the other side in the other sectional, which the southern sectional is at Hardin County this year. But you take a look at the Waltonville regional, where you have number 4 Christopher and number 5 Weber on Monday night on WMIX-FM and WMIXsports.com. A 4-5 matchup. Christopher, and you might see a Christopher Waltonville rematch for a 4th time this year. Weber, though, going to throw some fits. They played Patoka pretty tough the other night.
Weber's getting better. And they got another game here. Christopher, of course, tonight will play ZR. Again, that's a lot to play that quick. But Christopher and Weber on Monday night's an interesting game, because then if Christopher wins, it's a 4th time against Waltonville. And, the Spartans got a win last night at home against Wayne City. An intriguing matchup is Sester-Valier, who seems to be getting better, maybe not wins and losses, seem to be getting better as they come along. If they can, get by that matchup with Steelville on Thursday, that'll be an interesting game there as well.
Well, and strength of schedule comes into play here. Steelville coming out of the Cahokia Conference, a tough team there. The Spartans, of course, are number 1 there. We'll have that Wednesday night semifinal. Actually, we'll have Wednesday and Thursday night semifinals for you on WMIX-FM and WMIXsports.com, because either way we'll have a team in each game.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at Waltonville and possibly a Christopher or Weber. You look at Steelville and a Sester or a Wayne City, and those are 2 intriguing semifinals. And honestly, with the way that things have gone for those top 4 or 5 teams, not necessarily sure who will be playing on Friday night.
And the way everything's going on, and injuries.
Anything can happen.
Injuries going on as well for some teams in that regional that you got to wonder about. And, Steelville, about the time they came out of Sparta losing to Waterloo in that title game by 7, you thought, okay, Steelville's back in. Then they stubbed their toe a couple times, got a win last night against New Athens, so now they're back in the ball game again.
Which was a big win against New Athens.
That was a big win, and New Athens have been rolling in the Cahokia Conference. So, this is a regional that is probably top 4 teams. Would not surprise if any of the top 4 come out of this with a regional championship next Friday night.
Exactly, and I think that's the thing to consider. And taking a look at the South Sectional, Gallatin County has a regional where Gallatin County is the number 1 seed, and I think it's just kind of a foregone conclusion at this point that Gallatin County is a prohibitive favorite to come out of that. Many think that they might be a super sectional team, and that remains to be seen, because a lot can happen between now and early March.
Yeah, Grayville will leave today to get there for their Monday game.
Ooh,
I don't understand that. Really, Grayville couldn't go to Edwards County,
right,
and fill that in. That made no sense to me. That was one of the silliest things that I've seen in a while. Why not let that one be a 6-team tournament and send Grayville to Edwards County and make that a 7-team tournament? Just me. Look at a map, guys. That's all you got to do. And gals. Look at a map up there.
It really is good, guys. And gals.
Make sure.
Meridian Regional.
It's Meridian Egyptian.
Yep.
It comes down to the Mandrell brothers and who's going to do what and who's going to win. That's basically what it is Meridian and Egyptian. And maybe Century can sneak through, but, At this point, it's them.
ZR Regional, number 1, Goreville, number 2, ZR. 3, Thompsonville, 6, Crab Orchard. Pretty big drop-off there.
It's Goreville's to win and to lose, but, boy, ZR, I know Goreville handled ZR about a week ago, double-digit victory at Goreville. But when the Goreville played at ZR, it was single digits, and it was a close game all the way through. So that's the only thing is if ZR is the lone man lone team that could maybe give Goreville a run.
Well, and then we'll skip back over to the Altamont section real quick. Woodlawn Regional winner, of course, would play the winner of the Diederich Regional, which is Oblong's the 1, 2's deep. I mean, this is the biggest cluster out of all of the regionals because everybody's beat up everybody.
This is hard to read.
Yeah.
I look at Dietrich and go, Oblong, yeah, they've been all right. Dietrich, okay. And, then you go to Albany and you look, okay, Sisney's been there. Sisney should come out, but Edwards County's laying there, And then the thing about St. Elmo is you got Nokomis, who's kind of rode the roller coaster all year. You got Altamont trying to get back to their home floor. And then Cowden Herrick. So, I mean, you got, and St. Elmo, you got all these teams just keep beating up on each other. You can't get a read on anybody up there right now.
No, you can't. And it's relatively impossible, which is why we're going to go ahead and go into 2A real quick, where
Harrisburg.
You have your prohibitive favorites, obviously, in the SIU Super. Harrisburg, many feel will come out of the Frankfurt sectional.
One team can maybe get them.
And who would that team?
One team, if I can find. I got to make sure they're there.
In the Super?
Yep.
Okay, not in the sectional.
There's no. If somebody gets Harrisburg before the Super, I'm going to be shocked, and it could happen. The right night, the right shooting, the right game plan, it could happen. Harrisburg's kind of messed around teams. Nashville, number 1, they get beat last night by DuQuoin. Harrisburg's dominated. Flora looked good the other night, but then loses to Newton. Flora might be a possibility because Flora would meet Harrisburg in a title at Frankfurt there. To me, about the only teams I could think of that gets Harrisburg before they get to Peoria is Robinson, because that's the one I'm hearing more and more and more about. I don't think T-Town's got anything for Robinson. I think it's Robinson, and that may be it. I just don't see Harrisburg's going to win that regional El Dorado easily. Flora might be able to play with them a little bit at Frankfurt. Other than that, it's Robinson at Carbondale or Harrisburg goes to the state. That's
T-Town would have to tighten up a lot of things.
Yes, from what we saw.
To beat a Robinson team. And maybe it's possible. Obviously, we don't have all the answers, but that's a quick glance at 1A and 2A. Their postseason starts on Monday night. We'll have a great deal of games for you on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. We get started Monday night at Waltonville. Christopher and Weber at 7:15 is your pregame. WMIX-FM, WMIXsports.com for all of these. Tuesday, we go to Effingham for Mount Vernon Rams basketball with video at WMIXsports.com. Then on Wednesday night, it's a doubleheader from 2 locations. Woodlawn versus the winner of the play-in, the 4-5 matchup, will be at 6 o'clock with a 5:50 pregame. Then immediately following, the number 1 Waltonville Spartans will have the winner of the 4-5 game at Waltonville. That pregame will start upon the conclusion of the postgame show of game number 1. Thursday, we're back at Waltonville, 7:15 pregame for the Steelville and the winner of SV or Wayne City. Friday, we have 2 games on the air for you, we hope. Mount Vernon Carbondale on the FM. That'll be on WMIXsports.com with video in the Rams' regular season finale. Then, on AM 940, we hope to bring you a regional championship game from Woodlawn. So that's next week. It's a busy week for us. Game every night, just the way we like it. Of course, we also like to talk to Rams head coach Scott Gamber. We're going to talk about last night's 56-51 victory over Marion. We'll also talk about him going into the Hall of Fame for a second time. Saturday Sports Show powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Hall of Fame talk next.
Welcome back to Personal Banking is more than our tagline at Community First Bank. It's the truth. From our 5 locations in Jefferson County, the debit cards tied to local schools that we offer, the dozens of scholarships we provide to local youth, and even our president who sits at the front door. The Community First Bank difference is apparent. Our mission as Jefferson County's premier community bank is to provide the best customer service around. Stop by one of our 5 locations and experience true personal banking. Community First Bank with locations in Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Dix, and Ina. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Hey, there we go. We're back on the Saturday Sports Show. Glad to have you with us. We gave Scott Gamber an hour to sleep in this morning to enjoy that 56-51 victory over Marion last night. Scotty Gams, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. I don't know if you really got an extra hour of sleep or not, but bottom line, we're here in the 9 o'clock hour. Of course, we're going to talk Hall of Fame with you as well, but big win against the Marion Wildcats. You even up the season series at 2-2, and, as big of a fan as I am of Shane Hawkins, I really hope we don't see Marion a fifth time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, good thing is if we see him a fifth time, that'll mean we have won our first game of the regional in the finals. But I'm like you. There's so much familiarity with each other right now, and all 4 games have come down to the wire. You hate to play him a fifth time, but last night was big for us because for a lot of reasons. But it never felt like again until the end that we were going to win that game. It seemed like every time we put together a little bit of a run, they'd go on one, and twice they kind of extended the lead a little bit to where it looked like we were in big trouble. And I was really proud of our guys last night, immediately after the game for how they fought back. And then I think last night when I started looking at some statistics from the game, I think I became even more proud of our players because Marion hit 7 threes last night, which I knew they hit a bunch. I didn't realize they hit 7. We did not hit a single 3 last night. Our leading scorer, Trevor Flota, who's averaging about 14 a game and a little bit more than that in conference games, only had 2 points, and our guys still gutted out a win. And that says a lot about them because if you'd have told me going into the game, Trevor's only going to get 2, you're not going to hit any 3s, and they're going to hit 7, I think we got blown out. So our kids showed a lot of toughness last night.
Beginning of the game, it seemed a lot of the festivities and frivolity gave the team the deer in headlight looks. Then it seemed like it took them a while to get into the ball game, and maybe in the second quarter finally woke up that there is a ball game going on.
It did, and I kind of hoped that maybe it would go the other way. I thought maybe Marion would be caught up in all the festivities that were going on, but no, you could tell our kids, I think, offensively were trying to do too much early. They were forcing things that weren't there, and they wanted to perform well in front of the big crowd. And defensively, I think maybe a little nervous energy. Our legs weren't completely there, and Marion came out hot, and I was really worried mid to late there in the second quarter when they got up 8. I thought that the game was getting ready to get, slip out of our hands. But we had a nice run to finish out the second quarter, and I thought offensively, I thought that Braden had a great game. Jake had a great second half, and then Michael Caesar did, I thought, a nice job both ends of the floor because we asked him to guard, Brant Hill, who's more of a guard, and that's, it's something that Michael can do, but it's something that he's not asked to do very much because, we don't have a lot of size on our team, so Michael's always asked to guard the other team's, best big man. And last night we thought, well, we need Michael to guard Brant Hill because Brant Hill's had 3 huge games against us. And I thought Michael did a really nice job doing something that he doesn't have, get called on to do very often. He showed a lot of versatility last night.
All that versatility. Jake Pike threw the team on his back in the third. Fitzgerald's kind of goes in later and takes care of business. Another guy, again, doesn't get to start, but comes in, I thought started the first half wake-up call with Shikari Hawkins again. Gives you that extra bit of energy, NBA term, gives you a little bit of an extra energy in the run last night against Marion when he comes in off the bench.
He does, and he did a great job when he was in the starting lineup. But I think there is a little bit something to the fact that when he comes in, it really gives us a little bit of an energy boost. And I thought he played another really good game last night. And, something else I kind of was thinking about last night, Braden had 18 points and played really well, and he sat most of the second quarter in foul trouble. So he got those points in about 3 quarters of play. So that's a big game. And I think it was the first time that we saw from Braden where, the Carbondale game, a couple of the other games where he had a lot of points, a lot of them came from hitting threes. I think the Carbondale game he hit 3 threes. Last night he didn't hit a single perimeter shot and finds a way to get 18. So that's that's a good sign for him when he can find ways to score when maybe the 3-point shot's not going down. And again, I do not understand because it's not like they're not good shots. We've now played 4 games against Marion, and we've hit a grand total of 2 3-point shots on the year.
That's what I was looking at last night. I couldn't believe nobody hit a 3.
We have shot the ball so poorly against them this year from the perimeter. It's mind-boggling. I thought maybe at home, maybe part of it maybe was at Marion, just the gym. But again, last night didn't hit a 3.
So from here, 2 more games. 2 toughies at Effingham, who's playing pretty well right now. You know them, and then at Carbondale. I mean, this is a great way to test your team if you had to going into regional, isn't it?
It is, and we've not performed well on the road at all, and it's as far as for prepping for the regional, it's nice that we're going to get 2 really tough road challenges here at the end of the regular season. And, as I said, in our regional this year, I think it's all about who's playing well at the right time. I think we're playing pretty well right now, but it's just can it carry over to doing that on the road, and win these next 2 games, lose these next 2 games, that has no impact on the regional. But saying that, it sure would be nice to gain a little bit of confidence by getting a road win or 2 and go in there on a high note.
Especially if you can get a win at Carbondale, knowing the regionals at Carbondale might add some nice momentum as well. But a team that had a lot of momentum heading into the postseason was a 96-97 basketball team, of which you were a sophomore. And going into the Hall of Fame this weekend, it's your second induction. Of course, you went in as a part of the 98-99 team as well as a senior. Taking a look at that team, a lot of special things happened that year. The Rams got back to Peoria for the first time since '69. And really, you just kind of look at what they accomplished, what you guys were able to do out there. That was quite the run.
It was, and it really, the second half was pretty surreal because we got beat by Homewood Flossmoor in the first round of the holiday tournament. We had a couple guys that were sick, and at the time it seemed like a really bad loss. I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise because even though we lost that first round game, we were able to go to the consolation side. We won that, and then we really got hot, and we didn't lose another game until Edwardsville beat us in the championship of the Salem tournament. And then when that, we went on another run where we didn't lose again until Aurora West beat us in the state tournament. I really felt like had we won that first round game, we would have played Nick Irvin.
Yes.
One of the Chicago schools. We could not have beat them, and that was at the time when you lost. If you won your first game, lost your second game at Centralia, you were done. There was no, 5th place game like there is today. So I thought we were very lucky to lose that first game.
When you looked at this team, I know when you look back in retrospect, it's a little easier now, obviously, than when you're in the moment as a sophomore, but this was kind of unexpected, the run that year, because a lot of people were looking forward to the next 2 years, weren't they?
Yes, definitely. I thought that's what made maybe my sophomore year the most enjoyable, just because there was absolutely no expectations, and everything we did was, like you said, was really unexpected and had some nice, we had 2 really nice seniors, Ryan Maurer and John Thomas. Both those guys were great guys to us younger kids that year, and both in different ways. And I think Ryan Maurer, I still think, is one of the more underrated players at Mount Vernon. You look at all the things Ryan did and how good he was defensively and scoring around the basket, and he kind of sometimes doesn't get talked about as much, but he was a huge part of that team, and there's no way we have anywhere near the season without him.
Well, and then, of course, you also factor in, you look at the juniors that year. You had Coleon Hawkins, who started. You had Ryan Cross, who added a nice factor off of the bench. But then you, Kent, and John Nockey all started. Chris Morgan got some time, as did Kyle McClure, who I remember going through Rams basketball camps and thinking that he was the best free throw shooter I'd ever seen in my life, always winning those free throw competitions. But you take a look at that team, not only are there great memories there, but just some great young talent that without any pressure on them went up to Peoria and battled an Aurora West team. I believe you guys started on an 8-0 run, if I remember right, watching that in grade school on TV. But you went on that nice run, but then Aurora West, it looked like at the time, oh crap, could have had them. Aurora West gave Peoria Emanuel a pretty good ball game in the championship that year.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I think it's partly because we were sophomores and young and didn't know it. We didn't know really what we were in for. We didn't know what Aurora West was and how good they were at the time. And I can remember that first night you get there, they have that dinner. And I remember seeing, the Peoria Emanuel team walk in. I mean, we were like junior high kids compared to Sergio McClain and Griffin. I mean, Frankie Williams. And those guys were grown men, and here we were, in the same place with them. So that was pretty neat. And, I think the thing that made that team and then the next 2 years team really special for us was just how close we were off the floor. I think that's something that a factor of teams that gets overlooked is the social part of it. I mean, we were all best friends. We hung out all the time after games, through the week. I mean, when you really like the guys you're playing with, it makes everything that much more special, and it makes practice fun and exciting to go to. And not that that's a requirement now, but it doesn't seem like you see the camaraderie as much anymore, and that may be with just a lot of different things going on.
You can thank the internet for that.
I think so. I think that the video games and the internet and all that and the iPods and going to and from trips, we sat in the back of the bus and we talked and we goofed around and we played cards, and I mean, you really got close. And another thing that's different now, I never ever would have wanted to ride home from a basketball game with my mom and dad and miss out on the bus trip. That was the most fun, was coming home from away games. Now, whether it be coaching basketball or when I coach baseball, the bus is almost empty on the way home. I mean, very few kids ride the bus home, and that's another part that I really enjoyed looking back on it.
And this group, one thing I look at too is I remember not just basketball, but this group played multiple sports too, and that kind of helped out because this group was successful in a lot of different things at Mount Vernon High School as far as sports are concerned.
Yeah, you look at Kyle McClure was an unbelievable golfer. He was one of the best golfers in Southern Illinois, and played college golf, and still today is one of the best golfers that I get to play with. He's amazing. And then John Nockey was a heck of a cross country runner. I think Kent could have played bowling and would have been the best bowler in Southern Illinois. I mean, it did not matter what he did; he was going to be the best at it. I mean, he was an unbelievable baseball player. Obviously his basketball accolades, and Coleon was a really good football player, and you're right. That said something. And that's something that try to talk to our kids sometimes about. Kent Williams, he was the most dedicated player that I've ever seen or played with, and he still played 2 sports and played them both at a really high level.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to specialize anymore. You can do more than one sport and be very good at both. And I guarantee Kent playing baseball did not affect his basketball any. It probably made it better by getting away from it a little bit.
Back in the day on Colt League baseball trips, Kent Williams did not like to lose at playing pool either. I'm telling you right, I've never seen a kid get beat and then call and pull people over that was on his team, like 2 people, and say, hey, we're going to not lose the next one. Get yourself ready. And go back. And we're down in the lobby of a hotel, and I'm watching this kid play pool, and it's like he doesn't baseball, doesn't basketball, whatever. He's going to be the best at anything he tried to do.
Without a doubt. And I'm not comparing him to Michael Jordan by any means, but you watching all this stuff that ESPN's doing on Michael Jordan, and when they talk about how fierce a competitor he is, and they tell the stories, I think of Kent, because you're right, pool, ping pong, it doesn't matter. He was not going to lose, and if he did, he was going to be really upset about it. And that's what made him so special, and that's what made a lot of the guys on that 96, 97 team like that, because they were like that. You play golf with Kyle. Kyle doesn't want to lose. If he loses, he's not going to be happy. Kenneth Knox was a really fierce competitor. He doesn't get talked about as much, but Kenneth played a ton as a freshman. We played Centralia in the finals of the Salem tournament, and Kenneth about won that game for Mount Vernon when Mount Vernon wasn't real strong that year. He played some big minutes as a sophomore, and Kenneth had a really good sophomore season there. And, there were a lot of guys. We were fairly deep. We played a lot of guys that year.
Final question is our WMIX Sports social media question of the week, and the question is, being that it's Hall of Fame weekend at Mount Vernon High School, we ask you, what sports Hall of Fame that you have visited is your favorite, or what one would you most like to visit?
You know what? I've not been to any Hall of Fames. I would have to say the Mount Vernon Hall of Fame, because that's the only one I've been to. I've not been able to go to. I'd love to go to Cooperstown. If I could go to any of them, I want to go to Cooperstown. We were in that area last summer, and I regret not, finding a way to get there.
Are you going to go see Tom Brady in Canton?
Yeah, someday. That's a guarantee that'll happen. But one last thing, we also were very lucky to play for 3 great coaches. Coach Zahm, that's now a principal in West Frankfort. Gus Gillespie was our JV coach, which I got to play for him my freshman year. And Gus and Doug were a great combination, because you had Doug, who was such a fierce competitor. A lot like Kent, hated to lose, prepared so well, and it was really the perfect combination with us guys that were like that to get to play for him, because we knew he wanted to win as badly as we did and would do anything. And we, as a group, we absolutely loved playing for Doug. Gus then, not that he's not a competitor, because he is, but he was a lot more joking around. If Doug would get on you, Gus kind of joke around with you. And so I thought Doug and Gus were a great complement of coaches. And you look at, all the things Doug's accomplished, you look at all the things Gus is starting to accomplish now. We were pretty lucky.
Well, and certainly a hearty congratulations to you and the rest of the members of the 96-97 basketball team on this Hall of Fame induction. Congratulations, Scott. Thanks for taking the time to join us this morning.
All right, thanks a lot for having me on.
Always a pleasure. Scott Gamber, head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams. Games on Tuesday and Friday next week. You'll find them both on WMIX-FM and WMIXsports.com. Behind on breaks, we'll talk to Tom Williams after the break. He's also a member of the 2013 Hall of Fame class. This is a Saturday Sports Show powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. Back after these.
Hi, I'm Bria Ashby with Community First Bank. It's always my goal to make the transition to Community First Bank as easy as possible for our customers. Our handy switch kit helps in doing just that. Whether it's direct deposit, auto transfers, or online banking, I'm here to help. Come see me at our 42nd Street location to open your account today, and let me remind you how banking should be. Community First Bank with locations in Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Dix, and Ina. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Mount Vernon is pleased to announce the opening of TMS Mobility and Rehab. TMS Mobility will focus on standard as well as custom mobility products. TMS Mobility will offer power chairs, scooters, chairlifts, and ramps. TMS employs 2 custom seating specialists with years of experience, Kathy Graham and Jeff Burkett, as well as repair technician Stefan Tamplin. For those people who are in a chair for long periods of time, seating becomes critical in avoiding pressure sores as well as skeletal and muscle complications. Owner Eric Black says, "We're excited to be the only locally owned company in Southern Illinois with the ability to service all your mobility needs regardless of the complexity. TMS is glad to call Mount Vernon home. If you are a loved one or in need of our services, give us a call at area code 618-242-8776. That's 618-242-8776. Or feel free to stop by 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
America is a nation on wheels. Everyone has at least one automobile. We use them for shopping, work, everything we do. But they can be a threat. Some accidents can't be prevented. Your professional Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crown View in Mount Vernon, can help protect you from a large financial loss when an accident happens. Call Page Insurance today at 242-7000 about low-cost auto insurance from Pekin Insurance. Ask them about the many money-saving discounts that are available. Depend on your hometown professionals. Pekin Insurance.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. Chris Hugo with Danny Zarwinski and Jeff Crow in studio for you, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest is going in as an individual in the Hall of Fame class of 2013. He is Tommy Williams. Tommy, good morning.
Morning, Chris.
You know what? You're probably more known now for your business acumen and, of course, your golf success in the SIGA, but you go in to the Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Fame finally as an individual with some basketball success, and, of course, you went on to play football at Southern. You were a basketball walk-on as well after 2 years of being the starting quarterback at Mount Vernon. How does it feel to be recognized by your alma mater?
Well, it's a humbling experience. You know, it's a dream come true, and you're honored, but I'm more humbled than honored. Let me put it that way. It's fantastic. Included with those athletes, it's a great feeling.
Your basketball prowess of who you played with, some of the names in the lineage of Mount Vernon High School, some of the better ones. Talk about some of those players you got to play alongside wearing that Rams jersey.
Well, I got to play with 2 professional basketball players, Nate Hawthorne and Danny Hester. Along with Jim Spitz, had a great career at college, Steve Strickland, Terry Sledge, Mike Payne. I mean, I got to, every one of those players in their own right were very, very good basketball players.
You are one of those that have played multiple sports in your high school career, and you've been around sports all your life. Compared to this time of day, this time of where everybody's at, to when you played multiple sports, is it changed very much at all, or is it a little bit harder to do now compared to back when you played?
Well, it's next to impossible to do today. You know, athletes are in better shape. Coaches, you practice year-round, whatever sport you're going to do. That way you get better at it rather than if you're just doing it for 3 or 4 months a year. There's more good athletes, so it definitely is becoming a one sport. You know, if you're going to be a good athlete and excel and go on and play later, you've got to concentrate on one particular game. There are a few exceptions, but not many. In the old days, obviously it wasn't that way. You'd play football when the season was over. You played basketball, and then when that was over, you ran track. And you had to do all 3, or they wouldn't let you do any of the one. So totally changed.
A lot
faster.
Your basketball gets talked about, your football gets talked about, but obviously now with golf, with that at Green Hills. But your golf in high school, you did some things as well. Your senior year, during a trip to state, that went right along with your football and basketball prowess.
Yeah, and to be honest, the Hall of Fame committee found that stuff, I guess, because I didn't remember it. So, like you say, in Mount Vernon back then, it was more important to be a basketball or a football player rather than a golfer. But I know my senior year was the only year I got to play golf, and rightfully so, because the coaches wanted us working out and running and lifting weights, and golf wasn't part of that picture. But I did enjoy it my senior year, and again golf, I had some great guys to play with. So we ended up going to state as a team also. And there were just a lot of good athletes. We won those due to all the people we had. We had a lot of success. We were always over 500. And I think senior year we lost 5 basketball games. We lost 3 football games in 2 years, over a couple. The 3 games we lost all of them in the last 2 minutes, and obviously they all could have gone the other way. So we had a lot of success. It was a lot of, you got to kind of expect it. It was a lot of fun. But as you look back on it now, you realize how much talent we had around us. And our coaches were great, and it was a great time. Mount Vernon, and it still is. Mount Vernon's still doing a great tradition.
Well, and of course, you had so much success spread out against so many different sports. Is there a memory that stands out that's more favored than any other in your time at MVTHS?
No, not really. Unfortunately, I remember the 3 games that we lost. I'd like to have back in football and basketball, but all the wins were good. Always, when you beat Centralia, that was fun. My 3 years of basketball, Centralia never beat us once, so that was enjoyable. But no one game. It's just the 3 that if we would have won, we'd have been the final 8, or we'd have been undefeated for a year, or possibly 2 in football. So the tough ones are the ones I remember.
As a Ram, to play in front of a packed house at Chagnon, you got to see a little bit last night. You did it as well in the same gymnasium, Chagnon Gym. As a Ram, playing in front of that atmosphere, what was it like?
Well, it was a 6th man. You just played your best. It brought the best out of you. The fans, they're the best. No other way to put it. Walking out there last night is just it's great to have those people cheering for you.
Speaking of cheering, I got to ask this: what's tougher, winning a game at Centralia or running a golf course?
Winning a game at Centralia is tough. We won one there. They decided it was theirs instead of ours. So I'd have to say that's a little tougher than running a golf course. But there are challenges to both. That's for sure. And,
of course, Tom, we like to conclude each interview by going a little off topic and asking our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And this week...
Oh, yeah. Got to listen to your show. It's a great show. You guys do a good job.
Well, thank you.
Real good job.
Since this week is Hall of Fame week, we want to know, obviously, I'm assuming you have been to a Hall of Fame. Which is your favorite? Or, if you haven't, which Hall of Fame would you most like to go to?
Well, I've only been to one. And that's the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto.
Nice.
Oh. So I have not been to Canton or to the football or to the Cooperstown. So, I don't even know where the NBA Hall of Fame is. But I'd like to go to any of them.
Outstanding.
I'm sure it would be. Playing all those sports, you appreciate all of them in their own way. So it'd be hard for me to say. Well, my favorite athletes were obviously Bob Gibson, Stan Musial.
Wow.
So
very nice. And congratulations, of course, on your induction. And, I love this time of year because I get to see the other things that people were successful at that maybe I did not know before. And, I knew about the golf success and the basketball success, but I learned of the football success as well. And congratulations on such a great career at Mount Vernon, and as well as your well-deserved induction into the 2013 Hall of Fame class.
I thank you. Thank you very much.
And I thank you for taking the time to join us. That's Tommy Williams, of course, 2013 Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Famer. You know about the business success. You know about the golf success. But there you have it. Tommy Williams, much more than a golfer. And, of course, many remember the basketball accolades. And I don't like that I did not know about the football until reading some of the stuff that came out when they did the press release. And, we do thank the Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Fame Committee, Sarah Rennie especially, for getting us this information throughout the year and taking care of us and our needs, as well as the rest of the committee as well. We have more Hall of Fame talk to come on the Saturday Sports Show. Ron Marlow is next. We'll find out which game he missed if he cares to talk about it here on the Saturday Sports Show. He's only missed one, and that in itself is incredible. Great friend to Little League Baseball, great friend to youth athletics, and we'll talk with Ron Marlow next, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
State Farm, this is Jessica.
Hey, Jessica, Jerry Newman. Does State Farm offer more discounts to more drivers?
Yep, like the good driver discount.
So it's for good, but not great drivers.
No, Jerry. There's also the multi-line discount.
For calling from multiple lines while driving.
You should never use a phone while driving.
I only make calls from my car when I'm stuck in a ditch or something.
Are you in a ditch?
Yes, I am.
State Farm offers more discounts to more drivers than any other insurance company. Get to a better state.
One more reason to call State Farm agent Tony Wilton Mount Vernon at 242-1421.
Rams basketball is winding down and only a few games remain for one of Illinois' top programs. Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, president of Community First Bank. The final stretch of the season could be the toughest as the Rams prepare for postseason play. Watch all the action on WMIXsports.com or keep the dial tuned to WMIX for every thrilling play of Mount Vernon Rams basketball. High school basketball WMIX is powered by Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
And we welcome you back. Saturday Sports Show continues on. We're on till 11 o'clock today. Special 3-hour program here for you, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
It's 2013 Hall of Fame weekend. Mount Vernon Township High School induction ceremonies tonight at Shagnon Gym. That'll be at 6:30. Our next guest, of course, and I will ask him a question I've always wanted to know. He's only missed one game since high school of Mount Vernon Rams basketball. He is going in as a friend of MVTHS athletics, and a friend indeed. I remember playing Little League Baseball and seeing Ron Marlow, I believe affiliated with the Elks team, but just does so much for youth athletics around this community, and it probably doesn't get the recognition he deserves, but getting that this weekend. Ron Marlow, congratulations on the 2013 Hall of Fame induction.
Thank you so very much.
And I've got to know, you've missed one Mount Vernon Rams basketball game since high school, I believe.
No, I got to correct you on that. No.
Okay.
In the last 30 years, I've missed one Mount Vernon basketball game.
Gotcha.
I spent 4 years in the service, so I definitely couldn't make them all there. I made all my games in high school from 61 to 65, and then went to 1 year at Mount Vernon Community College here, and of course made all those games. Then I went in the service for 4 years and was in Tennessee a couple. This streak started back around 83, maybe somewhere in that range, and then I missed one game since that time period.
Which game did you miss?
I will tell you that a friend of mine that really why I continue this streak, and we push one another, Randy Odell, who's our official scorer, hasn't missed a game since his sophomore year in high school, 1967. So between the two of us, we got a lot of basketball games under our belt.
I would say, and which one was it? Do you remember which game it was?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you only miss one, you can remember it. In December 1988, when the old South 7 was intact, it was a game at Harrisburg.
So a game at Davenport Gymnasium is a game that.
Yes.
Wow. Just couldn't get there, or do you care to talk about why you missed it?
Oh, yeah, there's no problem there. It's common knowledge because everybody asks me. I try to tell them. No, I was deer hunting, and that was, I probably did something I shouldn't have, and I had shot at a deer, definitely within time, but it was late enough in the day that I thought I had hit it, so I followed up and I let time get away from me is what I did. Next thing I know, it's starting to get dusk, and I'm thinking, I've spent too long out here. Didn't have a cell phone back in this day, so I couldn't call and tell them to wait on me. And it was Randy Odell driving, and Rick Taken and Greg Webb were there, and we was meeting in my body shop in Mount Vernon. And when they didn't show up, they took off. So I got to listen to that one on the radio.
When you look back of all the games you have been to and witnessed, which game or games I'll ask you this, which game or games, which player or players, which coach or coaches stand out to you over that time?
Oh, my. Yeah, I get asked that. I mean, games, probably the most special game and the one that stands out in my memory is in the 98-99 season, which would have been Kent and Scott and John and those guys' senior year, the KMOX Coca-Cola shootout game. That to me was that was kind of the epitome or the pinnacle of high school basketball, because that was a huge deal over there they put on every year. We played the team from Washington, Rainier Beach, and spanked them, pretty well spanked them.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a game. Another one would be 1988 Centralia Holiday Tournament Championship game. Double overtime win for us against Harvey Thornton. Oh my! Bob Strawman had a heart attack in the stands. There was a fight, broke out in the second quarter. The referees cleared the floor, sent them all to the dressing room. Troy Hughes got his eye poked in that game and didn't get to play the rest of the game. And we ended up winning that in double overtime and remained unbeaten for the season. So those two games, I always tell people I don't like to pick players. If I've got a team, I definitely got a fondness in my heart for the 98-99 team. Anytime you can go 28-0 and be playing in a super sectional, that's pretty ultimate as far as I'm concerned. And of course, the story behind that, Darius Miles and East St. Louis Lincoln ended up beating us, and we ended up 28-1. But during that year, we were rated second in the state behind the Chicago team, and I think they had us rated as high as 14 in the country maybe that year. Players, I always break that down in between who I would want on my team versus who I thought the greatest athletes were all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably three that I would think that would stand out as being what I call being able to absolutely take over a ball game with their athleticism. And a couple of them go back further than one. I always mention Nate Hawthorne. He was, and I got a chance to watch all these guys. He was somebody that could absolutely jump out of the gym, played above the rim, and ended on after he left Mount Vernon, went to Southern and played, and he played in the NBA for a while. Another one is Eddie James, another high flyer. He had that ability to take over a game. He was just a really, really good ball player and smooth. I'm talking about just flowed when he played the game. And the third that I put on that athleticism list would be Jamar Sanders, the young man going into the Hall of Fame this year. I watched him play all except for one game, and I apologized to him last night. I went up and shook his hand. I said, Jamar, I'm going to apologize. He said, what for? I said, I missed one of your games. And he kind of said, what do you mean? I said, well, I missed one of your games. I made them all except one, and I want to tell you how sorry I was. And he got a kick out of that. But that was in '88 when I missed that game in Harrisburg. Now, back when we were kids, we used to meet in schoolyards or somebody's yard, or we'd play ball. We'd pick teams. And we used to get a baseball bat and we'd grab it and we'd go up it, and the last person being able to hold the top of it got first choice. If I had to pick a team and I had a whole bunch of ex-Rams ball players standing out in front of me, and I got first choice, it would be Kent Williams. And my reasoning behind that is not that he was the greatest athlete or that he was the greatest at this or the greatest at that. He knew how to win, period. And that would be my reasoning for picking Kent first if I had a choice to pick from somebody. He hated to lose. It wasn't so much that he liked to win so much. That I hate to lose, he said. I don't like losing. And that would be people that I would pick as far as favorite games or favorite teams and favorite ball players. And believe me, all these guys are my favorites. I love watching them play. Every single kid that I've watched play for the last 30 years has given me a memory. I'm talking all of them that hit the floor somehow, some way. They might not get to play, but 2 minutes. But they all give you memories, and that's something that you can't sell. They're priceless. They're your memories, and the neat part about a lot of the athletes that have played here, you see them later on, and they remember you. They talk to you about it, and Mount Vernon has put out some fine individuals, through their sports and everything, and they've turned out to be good people.
when you talked about that 98 game at the shootout, and that was the year that Nashville's there with Marvin Stone. They played Marvin Stone out of Alabama. Then you had Deshaun Stevenson, who's currently in the NBA. He was there earlier in the day ripping backboards down, basically dunks.
Yeah.
And Mount Vernon came in against Rainier Washington. All you heard about was Jamal Crawford, who's currently with the Clippers right now.
Right, and there's another player on that Washington team that played in the pros, too.
Yeah, and you throw that in there. Teddy Dupay was also floating around during that time period as well.
Well, he played in the year previous to that.
Right, and every time he got the ball at half court, people were yelling to shoot because he could load it up too. But the thing about that Mount Vernon Rainier Beach game is nobody in the building thought Mount Vernon had a chance until about halftime, and then the whole building swayed to Mount Vernon because they knew that they had a chance to beat this highly rated team from wherever, and that's when Kent took over. And I kid Scott Gamber because those two still, because the event's not going to happen ever again, have the scoring record for that deal for two players, and Kent had like 48 of them.
48, yes, is what he had, and I can't remember what Scott had.
Like 4?
He had a really... How many?
4, 6. I got the program at home. It was something crazy.
I've got the tape of the game, and I watched it here about a week ago. And I told Doug Creel, might have been our last home game, not last night, but the one before that. It was against Jerseyville. And we were setting up in the hospitality room, and I told Doug I'd watch that game again. I was kidding him about his hair. I said, you had a little bit more hair back then. You knew that. And I said, Doug, you know what? We were pretty good. And he said, yeah, we were. And that was the part that kind of got me about watching that game again on tape, is realizing how good we actually were. I mean, man, we were good. We were like a well-oiled machine that year. I mean, everything just clicked. If James Wilson would get a rebound, there would already be 3 guys at half court headed the other way, and James would kick it out to him. And those 3 guys would run that play to perfection. If he had somebody who had a block path to the basket, he'd kick it off to one of the other ones. And the same. And at the end of that game, Kent was camping out at midcourt.
Yes.
I mean, with the crowd, yelling at him to shoot it every time he got the ball, he was kind of camping out a little bit. And I think he was told that he had a chance to break Dupay's record.
Mm-hmm.
I'm positive he was. And he played it to the hilt. And his last 3 was like a 30-footer.
Yeah.
I mean, it was out. It was the top of the key, right straight up. And when he let it go, at the time, I was there, I thought, oh, my, well, what's he done? And it went in. And that crowd absolutely went nuts. And at the end, right before they took Kent out, he got down on his haunches out there at the top of the key, and he just kind of squatted down there like he was wore out. And that to me, that's probably the epic game that I've watched in the last 30 years. And their coach, it was kind of a neat deal when they did the interviews. He used a phrase that you heard as a kid when the reporter was asking him about the game and everything, and about Mount Vernon. He said, "Yeah, we got okie dokied," and meaning that he was expecting to come in here and just kind of dominate Mount Vernon and go back to Washington with a win, and it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. And there was kind of an aura, I should say, about that team for Mount Vernon, because when they went places, people came from other towns to see that team because that aura was there after that game. Like, okay, this Kent Williams guy's for real. This team's for real. What are we going to see every night?
Yes, it was, and the crowds away that year. Of course, Mount Vernon filled up every game here, and we usually just fill up against Central, but we was filling up against teams that were non-conference teams that were coming in here, and like you said, Jefferson County supported us. You'd see people from Woodlawn or people from Weber or the Waltonville people come in and watch. But then on the road, like we filled up Carbondale. We sold out Carbondale. It's the first time it had ever happened. Now, I'm talking about the new gym in Carbondale. I'm talking about the old one.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to move the band to the stage because the band always sat in the seats. And we filled gyms up. And you would have to leave an hour to hour and a half early to get in line to make sure you got a ticket because they were selling out everywhere. And you're right. It was everybody got on board. You say get on the bandwagon, but everybody got on board with that team that year. And you saw people that you had never seen ever at a Mount Vernon basketball game, and you look up and here they were, and you think, well, man, this is neat. It really is. But I mean, that particular year, that kind of brought Southern Illinois basketball back to life a little bit. I mean, it did. It really did, and it was just a very, very special time. And I thought our kids handled it well. They handled the hype well. And Doug, and you talk about coaches. Doug Creel's, to me, the best coach we've ever had. And of course, I don't know about Doc Seymour, and I don't know about Howard Ross. I don't know a lot about these other coaches because we had Stan Chagnon, but he didn't have the longevity that Doug had. Doug coached for 13 years, and he's got 240 career wins, second all time, behind Howard Ross, who has 271. And I thought that Doug was prepared every year that he coached. I thought he prepared our teams to win every possible game that they could. And Doug had some years to where the talent might have not been as good as other years, and he played to their strengths. He coached to their strengths. We had when Darius Moore was basically our only scorer, we had a lot of good athletes, but none of them were good scorers. Darius scored 1,000 points in the paint. I mean, here's a kid, if you kick him the ball inside, he's going to figure out a way to get it up, but he's one of our 12,000-point scorers all the time, and he did it all in the paint. He did it all shooting layups and 3 or 4 footers, but that's how he had to play. Our scores weren't very good, and the neat part about Darius scoring 1,000 points is our games would be like 25 to 23, 19 to 17. I mean, we didn't put any points on the board. So this kid scored 1,000 points when we weren't putting any points on the board is an amazing feat. It really is. But Doug coached to the ability of the kids he had, and he took away other teams' strengths by some of the defenses he set up. Doug was mostly man and motion offense, but occasionally he employed a 1-3-1 zone, and last night's game was a perfect example. Scott's kind of emulating Doug a little bit. He played man, and then he jumped over to a 1-3 zone, kind of packed it in a little bit, and Doug wasn't pass using a box and 1 or a triangle and 2 if you had somebody that was super good and you had to try to shut him down. And Scott has emulated him a lot. And what a great mentor to have. You're taking over from Doug Creel, and the neat part about it is he's still there at the school, and I'm sure Scott's taking advantage of that.
Our final question this week is our WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week, and it is, with it being Hall of Fame weekend at Mount Vernon High School, we ask you, what sports Hall of Fame that you have visited is your favorite, or what one would you most like to visit?
Well, the only one I visited is ours. Being involved with it over the years, it's special. We were late in getting it started. This is our 9th year, and we had from 1906 to catch up. And so we're now at 107 years, and we've had this for 9 years. So 98 years of sports before we started this. And I think if you look at that trophy case out front and get to look at people that are in, think, wow. The one I most like to visit would be Cooperstown.
Cooperstown, always a good choice. And Ron, great talk with you this morning. Congratulations. It's a well-deserved honor, but most importantly, thank you for the service that you have committed yourself to with regard to youth athletics. You've certainly been a great deal, have meant a great deal to Mount Vernon and Jefferson County with the service that you have provided over the years. And I thank you for that, and I offer you a hearty congratulations with regard to your induction.
Thank you so very much, and I am the one that has reaped the benefits. What I think I've done has been small compared to what I've gained.
Well, certainly a humble individual, and you will reap the reward tonight, especially as you go into that Hall of Fame. Congratulations once again. That's Ron Marlow, of course, friend of the Mount Vernon Township High School athletic program, going into the Hall of Fame tonight. We'll take a break, come back. Roger Yates will talk 1961 football with us. Then we'll get to Doug Creel, Clint Turner, Jamar Sanders, Will Lash. Still to come on the Saturday Sports Show through 11 o'clock here on WMIX. Back after these.
You'll notice right away that Second Chance Auto doesn't depend on fancy sales gimmicks. Instead, you'll only find honest deals with no credit checks and instant approval. Take your income tax rebate and use it on the great quality used vehicle you really want. Cars, trucks, minivans, along with small, mid-size, and full-size SUVs. Most priced under $10,000 with 3-month or 3,000-mile warranty. Family owned for over 32 years. Serving the families in our region. Located on Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. Call 244-4582.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski and Jeff Crow in studio. A little behind in our Hall of Fame segment of the Saturday Sports Show, but we're on air until 11 o'clock today, special program. We welcome to the program now Roger Yates. He represents the 1961 football team. Roger, good morning and congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning to you.
Well, and this is a special football team, of course, coached by Hall of Famer Noble Thomas. He went into the Hall of Fame, I believe, in 2008.
Yeah.
But just a great team, South 7 Conference champions, 6-1-1 overall. And if I'm not mistaken, this was prior to the IHSA football postseason. So not necessarily a chance to really prove what you could do at a postseason level, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there was no playoff system back in those days. You went from the last game was on Friday night, and the next Saturday morning you were practicing basketball. So.
Well, and this is a team, of course, that had, you look at some of the names on this team, and I saw some of those in attendance last night, but you think of, I saw Sam Mateer in attendance last night. I saw legendary Mike McClure, of course. I saw yourself, but this is also a team that was assisted by Frank Charnack, who's also going into the Hall of Fame tonight. But as far as Mount Vernon Rams football, you look back to a team like this that really kind of helped keep football on the map in the King City.
Oh, yeah, football was big back then. We played in, of course, the old football field. They had to put the tarps up around so people wouldn't stand outside and watch. It was standing room only every time you played. People were in both end zones, and, that was an era when Noble Thomas was coaching, and when Charnack was his assistant. There was just a run of good teams back in those days. We were fortunate that we were able to win 2 conference championships back-to-back, 60 and 61, my junior and senior year, and it was just a great coaching combination. Noble Thomas being the head coach, offensive coordinator, Frank Charnack the assistant coach, and defensive coordinator. Nowadays, when you have teams, you look out there and there's 8, 9 coaches on the sidelines, and we had 2, and they did the job of probably as many as 8 or 9. So excellent coaching combination, a lot of guts and determination on that team. Couldn't run against it. Tough to pass against it. We'd limit teams to under 100 yards rushing quite frequently when we played. So just an outstanding group. I could go through and name the defensive ends. On the defensive part were Gary Simmons, Dwayne Beeson. The tackles were Sam Mateer, Bill Shaw. No, Bill Shaw was an offensive guard. Benny Badger, Harry Pogue. Harry Pogue got hurt midway through the year. Benny Badger stepped in and played well. Bill Shaw, Nipper, Millward, outstanding offensive tackle and guard, and of course David Thomas, Noble's son, was the center on both defense and offense. So, great defensive team. The linebackers were Wilbur Warner, Roger Woodrum, who's a dentist in Mount Vernon now. Wilbur's a farmer here, and of course the middle linebacker was the legendary D. Rutherford, who was just, if he had a clean shot at you, he was going to hurt you. He was a hard hitter. He was a phenomenal defensive player. The defensive safeties were Schnotsmith and myself. David Woods would occasionally come in and play safety. And it was just an outstanding defensive team. Couldn't run on us.
I look back and I looked at the guys coming out last night, to be honest, several guys in the education coaching business too. You mentioned some other guys in other jobs, but it seems to me, you look at guys had a lot of coaching background. Did that play into you as far as what you were going to do after high school and college and the like?
Yeah, I think that's true. Woodrow started out as a teacher. Of course, his father was an educator, teacher. Of course, I was a teacher and coach, and my dad was a teacher. Mike McClure, of course, was a teacher and coach. David Thomas was in education, of course, following in his father's footsteps. And that's a good point. There was a lot of players on that team that were influenced by the coaches we had, and our parents, of course. Yeah.
And look at this team, and you mentioned it's so tough to run on, so tough to do things. And back then, with no playoffs, the conference championship was everything because you'd play 8-9 games, conference title, and on to win that. I don't think people understand or realize just how big of a goal that was back then to win back-to-back and to win as many conference championships as that crew did.
You're exactly right. That was the goal. That's the only thing you had to play for because there was no playoffs, and you went out there and that was your goal. The first game, the season started. Hey guys, we're going to go one at a time, and then we're going to eventually win the conference championship. We were fortunate to do it my junior and senior year, and it was we were co-champs my junior year with Centralia, but then our senior year we pretty much shut Centralia down. It wasn't a high-scoring game, but they only got 3 first downs all in the second half, and the defensive scheme that Coach Charnack had devised just literally shut down their single wing, so they couldn't do anything against us. So it was a dominating game, although the score didn't show it that way.
Of course, as I take a look at this 61 football team and I see all of these names and I hear you talk about the great defense, is there a matchup that year that stands out more than any other?
Well, the Benton game was probably our toughest game. Benton had probably the second-best team in the conference. West Frankfort was a struggle also. They had Bob Brown at quarterback. I don't know if you recall the name Bob Brown.
Oh, yeah.
He was about 6'4", 6'5". He was an excellent passer, and but our defense shut him down to 1 reception the entire game. Unfortunately, Snodsmith had slipped and fallen on the turf, and the 1 reception resulted in a touchdown. So that's why that happened there. But that was a tough game, 7-7. But our toughest game physically was Benton. I think Benton was probably the second-best team in the conference that year. And that was decided on a safety late in the game. Mike McClure was our kicker. Mike got off a tremendous punt, pinned them deep in their own territory. They couldn't get a first down. And the center. Now, if you ask anybody associated with that game from Benton today, they'll tell you who that center's name was because it sticks in their craw. Bobby something. I can't think of his last name. But he hiked the ball over the kicker's head. We recovered it in the end zone for a safety. And then David Woods got off his big misdirection play later in the game, which sealed it off for us. We won, I think, 14-13. So that was our toughest game, and I'd have to say Benton was probably the toughest team we played all year.
Our final question deals with the Hall of Fame this week and everything else, and we were asking everybody who joins us today, what sports Hall of Fame that you have visited is your favorite, or what one would you most like to visit?
Well, Sports Hall of Fame. I've been to Kansas University Fog Allen Fieldhouse. Are you talking high school or college?
Hey, you can help any high school, college, or professional sports Hall of Fame.
I would say Kansas University. I go out there once a year, watch a basketball game, and their Hall of Fame is unbelievable. Of course, Allen Fieldhouse is legendary, as you guys know. And but that is just unbelievable when you walk into that place. And they have their it's literally a hall full of all kinds of passages, pictures, and so on and so forth. But that's probably the most impressive I've ever seen, yeah.
Roger, congratulations to you and the rest of the crew going into the Hall of Fame tonight, and thank you for taking the time to join us and talk a little 1961 football. We appreciate it.
Okay, it's been my pleasure, guys. Thanks for calling.
That's Roger Yates. Of course, he's done a lot since then in education and coaching as well, and we appreciate his service to the community. And speaking of which, another Mount Vernon Township High School athlete that went on to great things is Doug Creel. He's already been inducted as an individual and as the coach of the 98-99 team. Now 96-97 gets their due. We'll talk with Doug Creel after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Face it, life can be very complicated. You need to simplify, streamline, and save time whenever you can. Life just got simpler at People's National Bank. Now get your monthly statement online at peoplesnationalbank.com. If you're looking for a convenient, faster, and safer way to receive your monthly bank statement, sign up for online statements available through People's Online Internet Banking. The next time you're online, go to peoplesnationalbank.com and simplify your life.
People's National Bank, serving Southern Illinois since 1909. Member FDIC.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, of course, the athletic director at Mount Vernon Township High School, but also a multi-time Hall of Famer now in the MVTHS Hall of Fame. He is Doug Creel. Doug, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. How many times is this now that you're gone in? Is this 3 or 4? Too many to count?
No, just 3. 3. 2 is team and 1 is an individual.
Hey, you're getting as bad as professional wrestlers. 3 time this, 3 time that, you know?
There you go.
96, 97, of course, going in tonight. And, you know, that's kind of in terms of, I believe, was this your second year at Mount Vernon? You come in after the 95-96 season, we remember that, but 96-97 is kind of what got things going again in terms of recent Mount Vernon basketball memory. It's a year where you start a senior, a junior, and 3 sophomores, and you expect it to be good, but I don't think people saw the team being this good. What a great season that was with a lot of memories, I'm sure.
Well, you better believe it. And we were a little ahead of schedule. I thought those guys had a chance to be good. I didn't realize they were going to be that good, and I didn't realize they were going to be that good that early. But you know, it's hard to measure guys' heart, work ethic, and we had a lot of that. And it was just a good group. Things had to fall into place for us a little bit. Just some funny things I was thinking about this morning when I got up, and I've talked about these before, but just kind of silly memories. But I remember in our tournament run, Kenneth Knox was always asking Coach Gillespie, like, hey, when are we going to SIU Carbondale to play? And he'd ask that after every game. That's how young we were. We didn't even know how many we had to win to get there. But we beat Centralia in the Salem sectional. And I remember being in the locker room, and Coach Gillespie hollered at Kenneth, hey, Kenneth, we're going to SIU. So I don't know why that kind of sticks out in my mind. And the other one was Kent on the bus coming home from that Salem sectional. I was talking about, hey, we need to practice on Sunday to get ready. I don't like practicing on Sunday afternoon. And Kent Williams stood up and said, hey, we're going to Elite 8. My church will be okay. Or we're going to the Super Section. My church will be okay with that. So those are just kind of funny things I remember. But they were a fun group. They played hard. They practiced hard. They got really, really excited after Christmas. You know, we won the consolation of the Centralia Holiday Tournament. And then we won 2 big games after that. We won in overtime down in Carbondale. And then we played in the shootout at Centralia against Belleville East. And Belleville East pretty well had everybody back from their Elite 8 run the year before. And they had us down and out, probably 15, 16 points. And we came back and won that game. And I think those 2 games really gave us some confidence, really got us on a roll. We did not lose again. Edwardsville beat us in the championship of the Salem tournament, and we did not lose again until we got beat by Aurora West there up in Peoria.
You mentioned one of your coaches, but your coaching staff. Talk about them, the guys that you worked with on this team in that year in that run to Peoria.
Well, hey, you know what? I was pretty fortunate. I kept a pretty tight fist around that, and I believe. Number one, your assistant coach has got to be very loyal, and those guys were Mark Zom and Coach Gillespie. And then later on, when I had Glenn McClure and Tim Holloway and Scott Gamber, those guys were always loyal, and I think that's very important in an assistant coach, maybe even more important than being knowledgeable about the sport they coach. But I was fortunate enough to have both. I had loyal guys. I had great coaches. Coach Gillespie, of course, he's gone on and proved that, and there's no question of Tim and Quinn and Scott. So I'm very fortunate that all those guys are head coaches. Coach Zom's not, but he's attendant regional. If I cut out a little bit, guys, somebody's beeping into my phone. But,
quite all right.
Hey, I'm just very fortunate to have that. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm very fortunate anything I did. Hey, we had success because I had great kids that worked hard, played hard. You know, you hear a lot of kids will say, hey, we worked hard, but work's kind of relative to what you're used to. You know, I'm getting ready to go work out here in a minute, and I might say, hey, I worked out pretty hard. But a Navy SEAL might say, well, he didn't do anything. So that's kind of the way our guys were. Our guys were, they had a great work capacity, and they got after it. They loved to play. They were all friends, and those things add up to success.
Well, and, you know, I remember back then and reading the newspapers, listening then to the Saturday Sports Show, and, of course, always hearing you say that one day you were going to lose Gus Gillespie to a head coaching job somewhere. And he's since gone on to Robinson, had the year at Centralia, but now ends up at a legendary basketball place like Marshall County. And not only him, but then you have Scott Gamber, one of your players, evolve into a head coach here at Mount Vernon. What does it mean to you to see guys under you kind of go on to success as head coaches? And not only that, the Doug Creel coaching tree begins.
Well, I don't know about that, but hey, you can go with Quinn in golf and Coach Holloway, all the success that he had in baseball. Those guys, hey, not only were those guys great players, those guys were great coaches. And that's just the way it is. And that's the way things are supposed to be. Hey, you know what? Hey, for 9 years I was assistant for Lee Emery, and I got to sponge off him a little bit and do a lot of things. And that's just the way it's supposed to be. And, you know, it comes a point in time where you turn it over to the young guys, and they run with it. Scott has done that. Scott has had great success. He is doing a great job with his basketball team. I mean, they're in the hunt, in the thick of things. And, you know, man for man, this may hurt some of our guys' feelings this year, but man for man, hey, we don't stack up to most of the teams that we play. But as a team, as a unit, hey, we're not a bad basketball team, and, of course, we've proven that this year. But, hey, you know, I love the fact that those guys are going on, having success. Gus was a great coach. I know we ain't going to be able to hold him long. You know, at Robinson, he took them to the Elite Eight in Class A. And that's another thing I want to say about our club. I'm going to get off our coaches a minute. Hey, just when we got to Peoria and played Aurora West, you know, it was just 2A. There wasn't any 4A, so we had to go through the good people. There wasn't any we missing the Edwardsville or the Altons or the East St. Louis or the O'Fallons, and that's what even makes it special. And the fact that we did it for the first time in 28 years. So it's hard to get up there. We've got a lot of great teams that could never get that far, but this is a special team, brings back a lot of special memories.
Of course, Doug, congratulations once again, but I wish we would have had this about 5 years ago now. The WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week, with it being Hall of Fame weekend, our off-topic question this week is related to Hall of Fames. Which Hall of Fame have you been to that is your favorite, or which Hall of Fame would you most like to visit?
You talking about like with ours?
No, just any Hall of Fame, like maybe Cooperstown or Canton or Springfield or something like that. Which have you been to that might be your favorite, or which would you most like to attend?
You know what? I haven't been to really any Hall of Fame. I'm not a big. I don't want to knock anything, but I'm not somebody that feels like, hey, I got to go to Canton or I got to go here to see this. But hey, I think the Mount Vernon Hall of Fame is special. This is where I've been. I've 27 years that I've been here, and 4 years as a student athlete. So I've got a lot of years invested in Mount Vernon High School. So I'm going to say Mount Vernon Hall of Fame is pretty special to me, and the teams and the guys and the people that I've been associated with over the last 31 years here. It's been very special.
There you go. Doug Creel, thank you for taking the time to join us. Congratulations on the third time at the Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Fame.
Hey, I'm going to enjoy it. I wish more of my guys could be here, but hey, that's the way things are now.
Sometimes, and it's certainly a great team with some great memories, and it was fun to watch, and I thank you for those memories.
All right, hey, I appreciate it.
That's Doug Creel, head coach, of course, at the time of the 96-97 Mount Vernon Rams. Still the athletic director, of course. Let's see, 1910 basketball talk still to come with Clint Turner, still Jamar Sanders, still Will Lash to join us as well. Unfortunately, Bobby Payne, John Riley, and Linda Sanders couldn't join us today on the Saturday Sports Show. We do congratulate them as well. If time allows, we will try to talk about them here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. We'll take a break, come back with Clint Turner, back after these.
It's finally here. The new WMIX website has hit the internet. Log on to WMIX94.com on your computer, tablet, or mobile device. Make an eQuest. That's right. One click and your request hits our studio. You can even get to know our air staff. Find easier access to WMIX on the Twitterverse and Facebook. Stay up to date on local events along with local news, sports, weather, obits, and more. It's the all-new WMIX94.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting. That's WMIX94.com.
Do you farm or operate an agriculture-based business? Then Community First Bank is for you. Hi, I'm Steve Down, Agribusiness Lending Officer at Community First Bank. With our roots firmly planted in Jefferson County, we offer the stability, strength, and personal attention that you deserve. Community First Bank wants to be your financial partner with customized products for both your personal and farm banking needs. Stop by any of our 5 convenient Jefferson County locations to see how we can help your business grow.
Community First Bank with locations in Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Dix, and Ina. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. Glad to have you with us. And, of course, glad to have Clint Turner, who somehow became the researcher of the 1910 boys basketball team. Clint Turner joins us now on the Saturday Sports Show. Coach, good morning.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
You know, doing pretty good. 1909, 1910, of course, I believe Mount Vernon High School, still known as the Orange and Black back then, not yet the Rams. But
yeah, I was there.
Yeah. Time machines are always a great device, but, you know, you look at this team and, you know, going through Mount Vernon High School, the teams you always heard about, and believe it or not, when I went through high school, I didn't even realize we had won 4 state championships. I knew about the 69 team. I knew about some of the 80s teams. I did know about the Shagnon teams. I knew about those 2. I didn't know about the rest. But this 1910 team really kind of seems to be one of the teams that put Mount Vernon basketball on the map way back in the day.
I agree. Yeah, I think... they were the first team to bring home a trophy. The team, and basically it was the same guys, were in the Elite 8 in 1909. So they had been there before they lost in the first round in 1909. But that, and I think you look at a guy like Bob Evans. We like the name Bob Evans. That's a familiar name now. But he was the... captain of that team and basically the coach of that team. And the way I can see with the research I've done, he was the first star athlete that our school really had.
Well, and then you kind of take a look at this team that went on to Champaign, or I believe Champaign at the time. I haven't had a chance to do much research on them myself, but you take a look at some of those names, and you kind of take a look at their undefeated regular season. And the thing that kind of intrigues me the most in talking to Mike McManus, who I know talked to you in great length about this team, was that Nokomis, somehow there was supposed to be a game with them, and they didn't want to play, or we don't know why. Or
well, I never really found out or found anything that pointed directly why they did what they did and did not want to play. I don't know if they were mad because they got beat. I don't know if they had to go home for something to do. I don't know what it was, but they did not play, and we earned the forfeit. I think you said Champaign. They actually played in Bloomington.
Yeah.
The state tournament early was in Bloomington, so I don't know if they played it like maybe Illinois Wesleyan. Who knows where they played at that time, but it was just really interesting when I got into and started reading some of the old Mount Vernon Register, not Register News.
Not yet.
The Mount Vernon Register. In papers back then, you didn't have a sports page. There would be a column that would be listed as in the world of sport or something like that. But when it came to the big tournaments that year, they took up about 3 or 4 columns. You know, all of a sudden they got a lot of press. And the town, rallied around the team. Even back then, I made a statement to somebody. I said basically in 1910, it was just like 2010. The city just really, really was captivated by the game of basketball. They talk about the Bloomington Panagraph newspaper made a reference that we easily had the largest contingent of fans in Bloomington to watch the game. And you got to think back How did those fans get to Bloomington?
I was just wondering that same thing.
1910. Well, yeah, they had to buy a ticket and get on a train. I think even the teams in the 50s, Shagnon's teams, that's how they got back and forth. They rode, not buses, I think they went, I could be correct, I could be completely wrong, but they had to get up on a train and take it to Bloomington. So, and then, getting in, and they were talking about different people that went, dignitaries of the town, of the county, the name Emerson, I think the old Emerson Hotel, he was a staunch supporter of the team back then. They just had a lot of fans, and even then, it wasn't Ram Nation yet, but Mount Vernon Township High School was already recognized as, a really good sports town in basketball in particular.
You mentioned the, getting to games by trains in the 50s. This goes along with like the Major League Baseball stadiums of the 60s, where you notice those stadiums, were built away from the cities because more and more cars were around. But the 50s, the Rams, fans had to travel by train. One of the things I noticed about the teams and the schedule from 1910 is McKendree College was on the schedule. Any information about playing a college basketball team back then?
Well, I think they played 3 different colleges. And I'm drawing a blank on the name. There was a small college down in Ewing, Illinois, and supposedly the building is still there, the main building of that college. We played them. Yeah, we played McKendree. I think I can't remember now. Another team out of St. Louis, I think, and yeah, that's the kind of people we played. It was just really interesting, and those guys were just, you look at them. There's one picture I found a picture in the 1910 Vernon yearbook, and they're athletes. Well, they look like some scrapping guys. It's really neat.
So in the history of Mount Vernon basketball, where does this team rank as some of the other special teams as far as it goes?
Oh, well, that's not a question for me. I like, where do they rank? Well, they rank in the Hall of Fame, I think. I think they set the precedent. They set the wheel in motion in a good degree, and a lot of people didn't even realize that that team did what they did. Somebody said, "Well, where's the trophy?" Well, I don't. Well, best I could find, in the yearbook, there were some banners. They really didn't have trophy. They just had a banner that signified that they'd won. Now, where that banner is at, probably long gone by now. If it's here at the high school, I'll try to find it.
Of course, Coach, you had the great fortune, kind of switching gears quickly before we go into our social media question. You had the fortune of, for a year, coaching Will Lash on the track and field team. What does it mean to you to see him go in the Hall of Fame this year?
Well, I'm very happy. Obviously, anybody that knows Will or gets to know Will, you get to know Will for a very short time. You immediately know that you're dealing with a very, very good guy, a quality person. Just somebody that represented our school and still represents our school to the highest level. Just a super, super nice guy, but just was, man, when I came in, and I didn't do a lot of coaching of Will. I said that I usually opened the gate so he could get in the track early, or I opened the weight room, so I hung out with him a lot. And we had some other guys that haven't really come out. That 93 track team was the conference champs. They were sectional champs. That's our last sectional championship our school's had in track. We had a good group of guys, and he was just the solid catalyst guy that we knew no matter what meet we went to, we were going to have a couple good scores right off the bat. I mean, you could just count on him. But he didn't, he had some competition, not just at the state meet, but through Southern Illinois. A kid named Miley was from Alton and was always really close to Will. I know when we went over to the Belleville mineral area meet, they went 1-2, and I think Miley may even beat Will that day. They go chest to chest at the line. I know those two guys ran for the Illinois team over in the Midwest Meet of Champions late in the year, and they went 1-2 and beat, guys from Indiana and Ohio and Kentucky and Michigan. So I think as much as anything, you can ask Will about that. I think that helped him a lot too. But he was just a hard worker, self-motivated, one of those guys, a lot like what I've had this year or last year with Spencer. Didn't have to worry about him. He knew how to go about his business and be ready to run, whether it was a cold day, a hot day, whatever. Will was right there and could be counted on, was ready to go.
Of course, Coach, our final question today. WMIX Sports social media question revolves around the Hall of Fame. Which Sports Hall of Fame have you been to, or which Sports Hall of Fame would you most like to go to that would be your favorite?
Well, I have not been to any of the professional Hall of Fames. My dad has. My dad is a huge NFL football fan. I would enjoy that one, but boy, you'd have to. The Baseball Hall of Fame, I think, whatever I could get into, I'd do.
There we go.
And because I'm a huge baseball kind of guy, I like history and things. But football is really cool too. Brocco, Nagurski, and those guys, and those are that's my kind of stuff. So either one, but you wouldn't. I wouldn't fight you if I had to go with one or the other.
There we go. Coach, thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. Good work on unearthing info on the 1910 basketball team, and just a great job with the Hall of Fame this year, and thank you guys for doing so much for us to help get into contact with everybody.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Clint Turner, of course, cross-country coach, track coach at Mount Vernon, but also a part of the Hall of Fame committee. We thank them. Jamar Sanders still to come on the Saturday Sports Show. Will Lash as well. We are here till 10 o'clock and probably going to run out of time fairly quickly. We are behind. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have Jamar Sanders on the Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Basketball is winding down and only a few games remain for one of Illinois' top programs. Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, president of Community First Bank. The final stretch of the season could be the toughest as the Rams prepare for postseason play. Watch all the action on WMIXsports.com or keep the dial tuned to WMIX for every thrilling play of Mount Vernon Rams basketball. High school basketball, WMIX, is powered by Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
Your future is calling. With a GED test and some help from Rend Lake College, you can answer the call. The current test expires at the end of 2013, and your scores will expire too if you don't finish and pass the test by then. Don't feel prepared? Don't worry, we can help. Visit finishtheged.com to learn more. Don't miss the chance to turn one small step into your next big opportunity, like college, a better job, and the respect you deserve. Finish your GED by the end of 2013. Questions? Call Rend Lake College's Adult Education and Literacy Department today at 437-5321.
Learn to live healthy, learn to live well, and learn how you can live free from unexpected medical expense with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance and the Page Agency. Health insurance that covers hospital, medical, and surgical expenses offers a wide choice of deductibles and a non-tobacco user discount, too. Rising medical costs don't have to be a problem with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance. This is coverage we hope you'll never need, but you just can't be without. Call the Page Agency at 242-7000 about a major medical health insurance plan today.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, trying to catch up with Jamar Sanders, of course, at one time the all-time leading scorer at Mount Vernon Township High School, as he scored quite a bit. 1934, I believe, was his point total. It was just shy of 2,000, I remember that. But a great basketball player in all-time Mount Vernon High School history here on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Of course, we're presented by Crossroads Community Hospital till 11 o'clock today. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
DC, you're probably more familiar with high school basketball at that time than I was. My first memories are really of 92 and beyond of high school basketball, but Jamar Sanders was certainly a sight to behold.
Junior high. I mean, that's where it started for a lot of people in Jefferson County and around the area. Was Jefferson County at that point was a rolling in the SIJHSAA with Woodlawn, Waltonville, Casey Junior High were rolling in trophies at state, making deep runs in postseason, and remembering Jamar Sanders coming in at Casey Junior High, how intimidating he was there, and then bringing that same kind of style to the high school level and leading Mount Vernon in many different ways. And one of those players that comes through every once in a while and that you just see. And, boy, the thing is, when you can start as a freshman at Mount Vernon High School, you know you've got and done something, you've got some talent, and you've got some knowledge of the game on how to do things.
Well, it doesn't happen often to be able to start as a freshman at any high school, especially one with as much history as Mount Vernon. But then, you think about his sophomore campaigns, you think about the super sectional runs, you think of what he was able to do on the basketball court, and a lot of Division I interests there. And we're working on catching up with Jamar Sanders right now. It would help if somebody would write the phone number down properly, and that is my mistake. But we are working on Jamar right now. Of course, getting ready to transfer him over and have him on the Saturday Sports Show. Jamar Sanders, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Great. Welcome into the Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Fame. Certainly a worthy accolade. Of course, you at one time the all-time leading scorer until Kent Williams comes around, but just a great player with a lot of great memories, and I'm sure people are glad to see you get your due as a Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Famer. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it.
Jamar, I got to ask this before we start talking high school basketball. The teams that you played on junior high, when your team rolled in, do you have any memories of that rolling around and playing at the junior high level before you started that fabulous career at Mount Vernon High School?
Yeah, that's where, the junior high and in particular even grade school paved the way, set the tone for me into high school. I had great coaches at both levels. Grade school was at Hall School with John Terry, and of course junior high with Zach Greenwell. I actually didn't lose a game until I got to high school. I went undefeated here in Mount Vernon in grade school. I won 3 city championships at Hall, and of course we won the 2 Southern Illinois Junior High State Championships at Casey with Zach. Those memories were actually the best. I was still fortunate enough to see Todd Hayes last night, and some of my high school teammates, junior high teammates, Chris Cates, and we were actually reminiscing about those times last night. And those are just wonderful times, when you're that age and you're kids and you're just playing, for the love of the game and for each other, and it's just a great time, just fun.
And those
that's all I can say. Just totally awesome, and we had some success. Obviously, going undefeated, went into 2 Southern Illinois Junior High Championships. That's when I began to dunk, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of things happened during that junior high time frame. Yes.
You didn't just dunk. You brought people in to watch. I can remember Waltonville, Casey Junior High, and Christopher playing junior high basketball maybe at Waltonville, and people just, walking in to see dunks and whatnot in your team. But as a wide-eyed freshman, did you think when you walked into the doors at Mount Vernon High School you would be where you were your freshman year, starting at Mount Vernon High School and then evolving into the career that you had there?
No, sir. I still particularly remember the day that we had freshman tryouts. And, it was obviously after class, and, all the freshmen, the day of the freshman tryouts, we, went down to the locker room to change and to begin the tryout process. And we changed clothes, and the freshmen at that time, we were going to have our tryouts over in the Armory. So we all leave the locker room after changing, and we were walking toward the Armory through the gym, and Coach Creel called my name. He said, Jamar. And he said, you stay here. And that's how it started. And I just said, okay. And all the others went on to the Armory, and I started practicing and trying out with the junior varsity and the varsity, the guys in the main gym. So that's how it started. I didn't think that it would evolve into all of this at that time. I was just, like I said, I was 15 years old, and I was just playing ball, because I was into it, and that's what I had grown up doing. Obviously, being big into sports, not just basketball, but we ran track and played baseball early on also. But looking back, I definitely did not think that it would evolve into what it did. But I'm glad that I had some level of recognition and accomplishments here. Yes.
Best player you had to go against in your 4-year career at Mount Vernon High School?
Wow. I would say, guarding and playing against Tracy Webster was pretty tough. There's a couple. Conzo Martin, he was tough to handle a couple of times. I didn't play against those guys on a regular basis, but those two guys stood out because of they had national attention and were highly recruited players as well. They were tough, but in the conference on the most consistent basis, I had a tough time against the South 7 teams. It's not that there was one particular player. They just gained up on me all the time. They were all tough. They made it tough for me. I was down low. I played center here. I didn't start facing the basket until I was a senior. So the coaches kind of had nice schemes drawn up against me quite well. So I, remember just doing a lot of battling. Those guys in Maryland, that Hamilton and Sloan guys, they used to just rough me up a lot. Those two, I hated those guys as far as playing against them. Not off the court, but just on the court.
Yeah, right. I got you.
Of course,
they were rough to me, man. I mean, they would double team me and elbow me in the throat, and refs wouldn't ever. I mean, we had words. It was intense.
Of course, as you go into the Hall of Fame tonight, I ask you this: is there a memory that stands out more than any other in your Ram basketball career?
Playing against in the Super Sexual game, that was pretty exciting, and the championship game of the Centralia Holiday Tournament. Those two memories stand out quite well. The Centralia game, the Centralia Holiday Tournament. The game with the double overtime, bench clean ball. We win by 2. Unfortunately, some gentleman in the stands had a heart attack. And just, that was just a wild atmosphere. The gym was packed. I mean, Southern Illinois basketball at that time, all throughout, this region was just, every gym was just filled to capacity. So that was quite awesome. And then that Super Sectional game against Lincoln, that stood out quite well. I recall having, I think 21 points, the most points in the game, and I was just a sophomore. Just leaving it all on the court. I mean, going after loose balls. I remember going after the ball and diving over the scores table because you just wanted to get the ball back and play. You just wanted to win. And I recall trying to get that ball to Troy Hughes because the ball went off of our teammates. And I'm like, I wanted that possession for us, so that we can obviously continue to try to win the game.
Our final question we ask all our guests is our WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. And with you going into the Mount Vernon Hall of Fame tonight, we ask you what Sports Hall of Fame that you have visited is your favorite, or what one would you most like to visit on the sports level, whether it's high school, college, or pro?
I visited, when I went on a recruiting trip to the University of Akron, I visited the NFL Hall of Fame. That was pretty neat. I would like to go visit the NBA Hall of Fame. That would really be nice.
Yeah.
There's so many Hall of Fames around. You have to honor all these people that come before. Even baseball. That would be quite well. I'm a huge baseball fan. I played baseball 5 years before I even touched the basketball, so baseball was actually my first sport. I just stopped playing after junior high. But, so just the history is just all around us.
And, of course, we congratulate you, Jamar Sanders, on your entrance into the Mount Vernon Township Hall of Fame tonight. Thank you for taking the time to join us this morning on the Saturday Sports Show.
All right, thank you.
That's Jamar Sanders, of course. Now second all-time in leading scoring at Mount Vernon Township High School, but for a long time with those 1,934 points, it looked like nobody was going to top that. in MVTHS history. Congratulate him. Will Lash still to come. It'll be our final guest today. We're about out of time on the Saturday Sports Show. Take a quick break. Back after these.
Looking for a rewarding career? Then Withers Broadcasting is looking for you. We have positions available in our traffic departments. If you love entering data, interacting with people, and dabbling in accounting, you'll love being a traffic director. Prior experience with radio traffic systems, billing, or accounts receivable is preferred, but not required. Email your inquiry or resume to Lisa Roddy at mvn.net or via mail to Withers Broadcasting, P.O. Box 1508, Mount Vernon, Illinois, 62864. Withers Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer.
With plenty of postseason games on the horizon for the Jefferson County Basketball Showcase, WMIX and Community First Bank plan to pave the road to Peoria. Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. WMIX and WMIXSports.com are set to bring you another great slate of postseason high school basketball. Does your team have what it takes to cut down the nets? We'll find out on the Jefferson County Basketball Showcase on WMIX and WMIXSports.com. Powered by Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. Of course, final segment of the program, a special Hall of Fame edition. We welcome 2013 Hall of Famer, track star, went on to professional accomplishments, Will Lash. Will, good morning.
Hey there, how you guys doing?
You know, doing pretty good, and you've gone on to, of course, more than just track. You've made some television appearances as well on VH1, and you've gone on to some great things. But, you know, I, as a kid, you know, it would have been junior high around 93, about the time that you graduated, but I can remember picking up copies of the Register News, and just everything in spring would be about Will Lash and what he's done lately. And you just had an incredible career at Mount Vernon High School. You were a beast at track and field.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess at the time, you know, I didn't really think about it. You know, I was just doing what I did, you know, and now looking back on it, when I got the call about the Hall of Fame, and Coach Clint Turner had sent me a list of, you know, my accomplishments, and I sat down, I looked at it, I was like, wow, I didn't realize that I'd done so much. And then I go back there and I look at the newspaper clipping, I was like, wow, like, you know, I actually did do something. You know, I just, you know, not that I left it behind, but you know, you just kind of keep moving forward, and you go on to college, and you know, you try to do bigger and better things. But yeah, I guess I did leave a mark. So I never really, you know, I've never really been a braggart. You know, I just, you know, like I said, I guess I looked at it as it was my job to go to school and just play sports. So kept me out of a lot of trouble, I'll tell you that.
When I look back, I remember reading about track, junior high, especially high school. The theory was, okay, track meets today. Who's running? Will Lash? Okay, great. He's got that. We'll just watch him run, and when he wins, we'll go do our, you know, whoever wins will get first after Will Lash. Did you feel any, I mean, even junior high, maybe high school too, did you feel any kind of intimidation factor where you just kind of, I know you didn't just walk out there and do it, but you knew going in you had a mental edge over a lot of runners at that point before even the gun went off?
You know what? I did, and I think that was really the key to a lot of my success was just that, was the mental. I've always, and maybe one day I'll write a book about, you know, I mean, I've never done Olympian, so I don't know if you wanted to read it, but about being the mental athlete. And you know, a lot of it is it's all in the mind, and yeah, but you got to have some talent to back it up. But I don't think that I ever got on the line in a set of blocks and thought that I was going to lose. Even if I did lose, I never thought I was going to lose. And that was the key, you know. And of course, having the success of winning, you know, early on helps to build that confidence. But yeah, that's always the way I looked at it. When I got down there, the intimidation just didn't exist. And unfortunately, my downfalls, the major big races that I did lose, wasn't because I wasn't the best athlete. They were all mistakes that I made, and I really couldn't blame anyone at the end of the day but myself, because I made those mistakes. I hit that hurdle, or I fell, or whatever it is. So and hurdles itself makes it more of a mental challenge, because there are barriers in your way. So now are you just running, but you got to get over that hurdle, faster than everyone else. So yeah, you're constantly you have to think as you're running, and so if you can't walk and chew gum at the same time, hurdles isn't the event for you.
Well, of course, I do wish we had more time to spend with you off the air at 11 o'clock, but what is your favorite memory as far as being a track star at Mount Vernon, or maybe going on to Indiana State? Do you have a favorite track memory?
Wow, I think my favorite memory is that state track meet my senior year, and only because of the support that I got, from all of my friends. I had friends that traveled, all the way up to Charleston, high school friends of mine that made banners and signs, and they're up there in the stands and they're cheering, and it was really cool. I always look back on those days. I was like, I had some great friends. I had a lot of support around here in the community. Those my coaches, friends, families, and even people in the community, registered news. I would get letters from people who followed me, followed my career, people that I really didn't know in the community, but people who were proud of me. So and that makes it so much more of an honor to come back and to get an award like this. But yeah, and there's a picture, and I don't know if they'll show it at the ceremony tonight, but there's a picture of when I did lose that race, I can't remember what newspaper caught it, but there's a picture of me sitting on the bench, just kind of sulking because I just lost that race, and I think Jason Hudnell, Robert Herring, I think Robbie Long, a couple of guys that were there at the track meet too, and they're sitting there. I've got my head down, and they're patting me on the back, and at the end of the day, no matter what, they were still proud, and those are definitely great memories. So yeah, it's like I said, it's an honor to come back, and I never really thought I would get a Hall of Fame plaque, because you go into Shag Mountain Gym and you see a lot of those plaques there, but I don't think I ever really saw too many track and field athletes. There were a few up there, but I just never really thought people. I knew people paid attention, but didn't think that they'll keep paying attention. So I was glad to know that they.
Of course, by the grace of my news director, I've just been informed that I can go past 11 o'clock. So now we can spend some more time with you, thankfully. Hold on just a second here. I will say that if you're looking for the 94 News at 11, you'll find it on 94.1 FM. If you're tuned into AM 940 trying to find 94 News, of course, we welcome those of you with us as well at WMIXsports.com, talking with Will Lash, track star at Mount Vernon High School, going into the Hall of Fame tonight on the induction. And, I can confirm, or maybe I shouldn't confirm, but that picture you referenced may or may not be in the slideshow tonight. I happen to be sitting next to the person that put yours together, and I am told that you will enjoy it. But you went on to some success in the Missouri Valley Conference as well. Of course, you went to Indiana State to become a Sycamore, and you take a look at that. It's always great to see Mount Vernon kids go on to college and excel, but you had a pretty good career at Indiana State. Yeah, I did, and thanks to the coaching staff that I had there at high school, Clint Turner, because I was late making my college choice, and I had some options, but I'm a Midwestern kid, and a lot of the schools I was looking at were out on the East Coast, and when it comes to scholarship athletes, most states always look within first, because you don't have as much money to go around, and so you look for your top talent locally within the state, and then if you've got the opportunity to bring in some ringers from outside, you do that.
But you know, I was looking at some pretty big schools, and for me being so late in my selection process, you know, most of them were already done. You know, selecting their their roster for the coming year, and on top of the fact that, you know, that Clint and I had this was brought up in another interview that I did. Just my size, my stature as a hurler. I was quick, I was fast, I was a good starter. But when you look at me collegiately, I was a great high school hurler. But a lot of coaches weren't really sure to take the chance on me as a collegiate hurler because of my size. You know, I wasn't the 6'2", 6'1", 6'2" hurlers that you normally see. And which is why a lot of my success was indoor. If you look at my records, you know, they were all indoor records and indoor, you know, championships that, you know, that I pulled out. Because outdoor, I mean, I was still a good hurler, but, you know, because of my stature, I'm a great starter over those first 5 hurdles. But those next 5 hurdles, you know, they're not necessarily a challenge, but someone who's got some longer stems on them can usually catch me. So. And that's why, you know, it's really the end of the race that makes the most difference in a 110 hurdle race. So a lot of coaches, you know, would see that and didn't think that I'd be able to pull out the times and the accomplishments that they thought I could. But they took a chance on me at Indiana State, and I had a great coach who actually was a hurdle coach, and I didn't really know that existed in that world. You know, I mean, a coach is a coach. You know, you have a distance coach, you have a sprint coach, and then you just happen to have sprint coaches that can teach hurdles per se. But I didn't realize that they were actually hurdle coaches, like they were our quarterback coaches. and John McNichols at Indiana State was a great great influence on me. And when you get to college, you realize coaching is not just coaching. I mean, if you have they're like parents, and he was a really good parent. And he was strict, but I definitely needed that. But he was, he was a part of the Olympic Hurdle Development Committee, and he was very well respected in that area. And it was just a great joy to have a coach that was focused solely on you, and was determined to turn you into to greatness. So in Indiana State, I had some great hurlers in the past, and right before, I guess a couple of years before I got there, I had a national champion. So it was, I knew I was in the right place.
Speaking of that right place, the amount of work you ran professionally for 2 years. You see the Olympics every 4 years. When those off years are going, when they're not in the Olympics, how much work does it take to be a professional sprinter or track person? I want to hear that.
It takes a lot of, not just the work, but like I said, going back and to, that conversation about the mental athlete. It's a lot of determination and will. Like I have so much admiration for those those athletes that can go above and beyond and get to those world championships and to those Olympic qualifying meets, because. And you have to, not only you have to have a great time, but you have to have people around you that really believe in your abilities and are willing to see you, see it through. When I graduated my undergrad, I had the opportunity to go out to University of Northern Arizona and be a grad assistant track coach while I went to grad school. But I wanted to train at the same time, and so the coach out there really wasn't interested in having a coach that was training, and competing, because that takes time away from your coaching responsibilities. And so I understood that, and I decided not to go out there, but I stayed at Indiana State, and which was it was a win-win for me. I stayed there, went to grad school, but I could train with my team. And that's the hardest part for athletes that are looking to accomplish that, to go into the Olympics if possible, is having a facility to train, having a coach to train. You have to pick up sponsorships. You have to have, you have to have the money to enter these meets, and a coach that's willing to train you and make that extra effort to make sure that you're successful. And they, there has to be some payoff for them as well. So yeah, it's really difficult. to get to that level. And you see a lot of great athletes that just, they don't make it because it's, because of the way it's structured. Professional track and field is not, it's not like not like the NFL or the NFL. There's no draft, and people aren't looking at you necessarily to say, hey, come be on my team. So it takes a lot of individual effort, a lot of will. But for me, I think that even though it was a goal, I knew I knew that very last track meet, that very last outdoor meet. Even though I wanted to move on, I was going to try it, but I think I knew I was done. Just because, I knew going to that next level was going to be really difficult to compete in. And honestly, like I said, with my size, I knew I could only accomplish so much, and I wasn't willing to go that extra. I wasn't willing to go the Lance Armstrong route. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was that's when I decided. Hey, I've gone to school, I've got my education, I've gone to grad school. I decided to move down to Southern Florida, and I was working there for Florida International University. And I was actually going to do some training down there. I'm like, I'm in Miami. I should be trained. I can train year round. But it just kind of hit me that, all right, I think it's time to start focusing on your career and and your life after track. So, and that's what I've always done throughout my life. Even though track and field was there, and it was it took up 90% of my time, but I always had so many other things. I always had my hand in other pots. And Coach McNichols actually said one time in an interview that I think it was when I was an All-American. He said that even though I was a good hurler, I could be a great hurler if I only concentrate on hurdles. Right. So, but I've always been a well-rounded person. I get that runs through my blood. My family, and they were always doing something, and I couldn't just do one thing. I like to make sure I have other options, and like I said, track and field is one of those things where you can't run forever, so you might as well lay down the path for other things. Like I said, there's a life after track, so you gotta make sure you're well rounded.
Our final question is our WMIX Sports social media question of the week, and being that you're going into the Mount Vernon High School Hall of Fame tonight, we have asked all our guests what sports Hall of Fame that you have visited is your favorite, or what one would you like to most visit, whether it's high school, college, or professional sports Hall of Fame?
Oh, let's see. That's a good question. I haven't been to the Baseball Hall of Fame. I've been to the Bowling Hall of Fame. That was
nice.
Pretty cool. From that we're big. And actually it was funny because the Bowling Hall of Fame was really cool because growing up in Mount Vernon, YABA, that was actually my dad got invited. No one, not too many people know this. My dad got invited to go on the PBA tour years ago, and they decided not to go. I don't know why. I guess because he just had so many other with the family and kids and work. And I don't think he thought that he could pull that off. But yeah, I don't think that's a fun fact about my dad. But he never went. So I still try to get out there and bowl a little bit here and there. But all my friends make fun of me because when we go to the bowling alley, and I don't have my own ball anymore. So I get being competitive, I have to use a house ball. Yeah, it's really frustrating. The guy gets made fun of all the time because I take it way too seriously.
Did you have your own shoes and everything? I mean, the whole gamut?
Not anymore. That's the thing.
Back then?
So I don't look like a bowler anymore when I go there. Until I put my glove on, they're like, "Really? You're gonna wear a glove and use a house ball?" So.
I have one question for you. Hey, Will, I have one question for you. Who's a better bowler, you or Michael?
Oh, wow, that's a good question.
Well, if you ask Michael, he'll say himself.
These days, I'd have to give it to Michael. Yeah, Michael's definitely had a lot more. He's got a lot more practice than I have these days. So, Yeah, I would give it to Michael until I get me a new ball. When I get me a new ball and it's drilled for a lefty, because I'm a lefty, so when I get a new ball and it's drilled right, then definitely my game will go up a notch.
See, I went to high school with Michael, and if you just asked him if he was good at anything, he would tell you yeah. So I mean, there's no doubt he was always the best. But one of my favorites going through high school. And Will, it's great to be able to talk to you this morning, and congratulations on going into the Mount Vernon Township High School Hall of Fame. Thank you for visiting with us today.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
You too. That's Will Lash, and of course, I wondered as a junior high kid why the Register News in the spring just didn't change the sports headline or title to Will Lash. I mean, he did so many great things and was such a great track star that certainly set a great example, of course, and really kind of helped parlay Clint Turner into a successful career as well, because Clint, as we all know, does great things with our runners and our track and field and things of that nature, and I hope that someday Clint Turner, of course, as well, will find himself in the MVTHS Hall of Fame. And there's so many. I could go on and on and on and on. Tim Holloway, blah, 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 of so many people that will eventually end up in this Hall of Fame. And, they're nowhere near the tip of the iceberg. So we thank everybody who has joined us today. We've obviously have overrun slightly past our 11 o'clock goal, but those that couldn't be with us today, as far as those that we tried to contact, John Riley, of course, has some things going on this weekend, but he was a 3-year starter on the basketball team, was a senior on the 1950 state champions, so as a veteran, he goes in. Frank Shornack, of course, did so much in the world of track and field with pole vaulting especially, but also an assistant football coach on the 61 team. He, of course, apparently a great father as well, because Mike Shornack is one of the greats in terms of athletic directors in Southern Illinois. Mike, of course, the AD at Marion now, but good to see Frank last night. And Jeremy Hall gave me a great tidbit, one of our good friends, about Coach Shornack, of course, when he was in the Marines, and I'm trying to pull that up quickly. That's what I was mad about this morning, one of the many things that wouldn't function on my phone, trying to pull up my history of text messages from last night. But Jeremy gave me a great fact, and that is that Frank Shornack was one of a handful of Marines that climbed part of the Eiffel Tower at the end of World War II, and that's not something that you get to hear much about, and I thank our dear friend Jeremy Hall for that factoid. And, he's been instrumental over the years in helping us put together Hall of Fame stuff, the Hall of Fame committee, everybody, Rob Wilt, Dave Farley, Doug Creel, of course, Mr. Lyday. You think of everybody who has helped us out. Coach Rennie, of course, has been instrumental getting us phone numbers, hand-delivered everything. And, of course, I also don't want to forget Bobby Payne. Kind of started my thanks a little early. He was a member of the very first Mount Vernon golf team and played for 3 seasons. He did qualify for state his junior year and went to the professional ranks, where he was a member of the PGA and competed in many tournaments around the world. And he is a SIGA, that's Southern Illinois Golf Association Hall of Famer as well, and coming back home and unfortunately unable to be with us today, but he will go in tonight. Then there's Linda Sanders, of course, who is also busy this weekend, but for valid reasons, of course, and she's a member of the class of 1980, but goes in the Hall of Fame class of 2013. She's an RLC Hall of Famer, but she was a 3-sport standout in volleyball, basketball, and track and field. Got to talk to Coach Rennie about her last night, actually, before the Rams game, and you could just see her face light up when thinking of Linda Sanders. And she was a member, I believe, of the 79 team that went on to the Sweet 16, but also excelled in shot put and discus and qualified for state in the shot 3 times and the discus, I believe, her senior year, but a conference champ in track. And I think as a volleyball player, they had a district championship her senior year, and she went on to Rend Lake to play volleyball and basketball, and then had a volleyball scholarship at SIU. She eventually earned a master's in administration and justice. All these folks will be honored tonight at 6:30 at Shagnon Gymnasium, and I'm honored to have been able to help bring this to you today on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. This will complete our overrun. We are done for the day. We hope you enjoyed our regional coverage earlier, followed by our Hall of Fame coverage on WMIX Mount Vernon. Of course, no NBC News. We have well past the top of the 11 o'clock hour, and of course, we thank you for staying with us the entire time. We'll talk to you next week. Don't forget our busy slate of basketball coming your way next week. You can find our broadcast schedule online at WMIXsports.com, or stay tuned to AM and FM WMIX. For Danny Zerwinski and Jeff Creel, I'm Chris Hugo. So long for now.